What's up, Black Comic Lords? It is Friday. It's late night, first Friday of the year 2025, and it's time for some Wakanda whiskey and blurredom. I'm your host, Paul. With me, as usual, is my boy Mark.
Happy New Year to you, Doc.
Happy New Year to you, man. How was your holiday?
Holiday was great. Went home to Oklahoma, spent Christmas there with the family, got a lot of family time in, enjoyed it. Came back for New Year's and planned on partying, was asleep by 8 o'clock.
What is that? What's on your t-shirt? What is that? Is that Kamala Harris?
It is. I bought this shirt back like around October, and we haven't had a show in a very, very long time because I planned on wearing it right before the election, but we haven't had a show probably since October, I don't think, because I was traveling, you was traveling, et cetera, et cetera. But I figured I'd go ahead and break it out, get it somewhere. So yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, she's dressed as Captain America, and we were hoping she was gonna save the US of A, but as you know, half of the voting public are morons, so we're stuck with what we're stuck with.
We are what our record says we are.
Yeah. Yep, that is true.
On that note, let me pull out some liquor to toast America. America!
What is that? What is that you're drinking? I don't recognize that bottle.
This is that Sable bourbon done by those actors from the Best Man film.
That's right. You told me about that. Because your wife got that bottle for you, right?
No, I bought it.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you talking about it a couple of months ago, but I haven't seen it yet.
This is
have to go for it.
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Pour myself a little lick. And let's see what's going on in the chat. What's up, everybody in the chat? AJL297702. Greetings to you, sir. Pericles Dragon Balls up in the house and on time. Autumn Sugar, what's up, dear? How you doing? Gordon Mahan, my boy, what's going on? How
Gordon,
you doing?
Thank you again, Gordon. I really appreciate you, Doc. For those who don't know, and most of you probably don't, but several months ago, Paul mentioned the Encyclopedia Mythologica from Marvel, which basically is a little thin pamphlet on all of the pantheons in the Marvel universe. And I couldn't find it anywhere. Gordon was able to find a couple of copies. He sent me one. I appreciate it, bro. Thank you very much.
All right. I love to see the community come together. Everyone helping each other out. That's what it's all about.
Speaking of helping each other out, I sent you some pictures in the DMs that you should be aware of. But I mentioned
let me finish saying hi to everybody. Kevin Pitts, what's up? And Bo Biggs in the house. Now,
what's up?
Proceed with your thing.
So, speaking of helping people out, back in June or July of last year, 24, I mentioned how I reorganized my comic book room. I used to have all of these boxes that you see behind me. They used to be on the floor in and around my room in here. So what I did was I went and bought some shelves to store them on. And initially I mentioned the shelves were Husky model of shelves that I got from Home Depot. They were about $150 for 5-tiered shelving unit that you could break down in sets of 3 and 2. I was enamored with them at first. The only issue that I had is it had a wire base to it, right? Well, the other day I went and bought another set from a different model from Paul, if you can bring up the picture because I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now. But the models that I purchased were significantly better than the Husky brand. They are, what is it, metal something? Hold on, let me see. Since he's doing that. But basically, the other set that I purchased are the same size as, it's called Muscle Rack. Yeah. The Muscle Rack brand of shelving units, 5-tiered shelving units, is like 78 by 24 by 48 or something like that, right? This shelving unit is top notch. And the reason why I say that is it's sturdier than the Husky brand, as well as it already has a corkboard type wood base to it, so you don't have to worry about your boxes sliding
You
off of the shelves. What I did,
this is the same unit I've had for like the last 5 years, right?
okay, great, good for you. Um, for those who don't know, this is what this is for. The ones that I had, like I said, it had a wire base. And so I had to buy like some laminate for lack of a better term to put on the base to make it easier for the boxes to slide on and off the shelf. So if you are somewhat in a quandary what to do with your boxes, I highly recommend the 5 shelf system from Muscle Rack. It's about 150 bucks. It's cheaper than the Husky brand, and as I said, it comes with a cork board or wooden base. It's a lot sturdier than the other one. So I know a lot of folks out there, like if Rav Dupree is in here yet, he and I were having a conversation previously about it, and he didn't know what to do. So for those who don't know, who are in the market, I recommend this gets my stamp of approval.
Well, all right. Are you sipping on it? What are you sipping on?
This is some stuff. It's not black owned. It's something I purchased last year. I just happened to make an old fashioned. Hadn't had an old fashioned in a while, so I made me an old fashioned, sipping on that, and that's it. Nothing. I haven't purchased anything new or black owned in quite some time, so I probably will for the month of February.
Stephen Turner, welcome to the space. One of our newest people.
Yes,
He
yes.
says, are those all your comics in the boxes?
Well, this is a bulk of my comics. In my bedroom, I have 3 long boxes of unread comic books. So 3 total long boxes, which is why I don't really go to comic book conventions anymore, because I found myself buying more than I was keeping up with reading. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop going to places. I'm gonna stop buying stuff until I get those boxes down. It was my intention to be down to 1 long box unread comics by the end of 2024, but that didn't happen so much. So here we are. Hopefully I can get down to one box by the end of this year. That's my goal.
Hope springs eternal.
Yep, it does. It does. It does.
All right. So look, this is Wakanda Whiskey and Blurdom, and normally at this point, we jump into the portion of our discussion that involves our boy T'Challa. Well, all right. So, wait, where's my T'Challa thing? Oh, there we go. Black Panther comic talk. There is no current Black Panther ongoing series, much to Mark and I's chagrin. There are no Ultimate Black Panther, which has kind of been our fill-in sort of something to hold us out until we get a series again. Although that's not really, downplaying it. It's a great series by Brian Edward Hill. But there has been a pretty good storyline involving our boy in Miles Morales. Shout out to Cody Zick.
Hold on 1 second before you get started. We're not going to talk about Ultimate Black Panther 11 because this has dropped since the last time we did a show. It dropped in the past 2 weeks.
Well, all right. You're making me go off key here, but that's fine. All right, Ultimate Black. I gotta find that. You should have mentioned that beforehand, but that's all right.
I did. I sent you the list in the DMs.
That was like 2 weeks ago, but that's fine.
It was earlier today at 2:00.
No, it wasn't, but that's fine. It's okay. It's okay.
Don't make me pull up the read receipt. All right, it was today.
Nobody cares, Mark. Nobody cares.
So,
Ultimate Black Panther number 11. It's got several covers. There are a couple covers. This one's kind of dope. I like this one. This is the Jose Maria Casanovas connecting variant. The question is, what does it connect to? I don't know. This Storm cover is not bad, but her face looks like a not black person. They just painted a a non-black person be brown. So let's talk about it.
I didn't like this cover only because it's misleading
It's very misleading.
once you get into the gist of it.
We finally see more of this new Doctor Strange type character, but without well, go into it more. Go ahead. You want to talk about it?
So basically, over the past this storyline, we're on issue number 11. This storyline has been about Khonshu and Ra, collectively known as Moon Knight, who have come into Wakanda and are basically trying to take over Wakanda through violent means. They're trying to foment a revolution. They're basically brainwashing people in the hinterlands of Wakanda. They're not in the capital city. They're out there in the boondocks, so to speak. And so that's what T'Challa has been dealing with, along with learning that vibranium may be more than just the metal that he thinks it is. There may be something intelligent about the metal in and of itself. So this is pretty much what he's been dealing with. He's been fighting them, et cetera, et cetera. Then about 2 issues ago, about issue 9, give or take, we're introduced to the Sorcerer Supreme of the Marvel Ultimate Universe. It's not Stephen Strange. It's a female whose name I don't recall off the top of my head. The reason why I say that cover that's on your screen is misleading is because it makes it seem as if she is in this issue. She doesn't make an appearance at all. I used to hate when comic books would do that, and they would do it quite frequently, where the cover doesn't match the interior. And in the interior of this, as I said, for 4 or 5 issues, there has been direct conflict between T'Challa and Moon Knight, Khonshu, and Ra. And in this issue, T'Challa, well, it's supposed to be T'Challa meeting with them to have a discussion about their conflict, but it's Shuri. Shuri appears, and I can't remember which one this is that she's meeting with. But basically, they're trying to find a diplomatic conclusion to their conflict. And basically, what the dude wants them to do is just to cede the territory that they've annexed, so to speak. So just imagine somebody from Russia going to Ukraine and saying, all right, look, I know that we attacked you guys. We've inhabited this part of your land. In order to have peace, we're just going to go ahead and keep what we've annexed that we weren't legally entitled to. So basically, that's what you have. T'Challa doesn't show up on his own. He sends Shuri in his place. But due to their technology, he's watching the events from afar. And the guy, Khonshu or Ra, I can't remember which one it is, basically calls T'Challa a punk. He's calling him a coward for not appearing in person. Instead of having an all-out battle, what he suggests, much like Jon Snow did with Ramsay Bolton, is he suggested that they have a one-on-one matchup to determine who's going to rule Wakanda, who's going to do X, Y, and Z. T'Challa says that he accepts. Back in the throne room, back in the capital, the thing that I liked about this issue the most was how Shuri, his sister, T'Challa's sister, and Okoye, who is the queen of Wakanda at this point, married to T'Challa, in T'Challa's absence, they've come together to say, look, something ain't right with T'Challa. I don't know what he's got going on, but I think something is wrong with him, and he absolutely does not need to accept this challenge. I really like the dynamic between the two of how they were discussing what's best, not only for Wakanda, but for the person that they love in their king, T'Challa. I didn't like how he was pretty much dismissive of them, but he is a king, and this is what kings do. He was doing king type shit. And what we find him doing is going out into Wakanda proper and trying to find out or figure out what exactly is going on in his country. T'Challa has been the ruler, but he has been basically just in the capital. It's like a president only residing in Washington, D.C., an American president only being in Washington, D.C., without going to North Carolina or Georgia or Florida or whatever the case may be. So that's what he's on a mission to do at the conclusion of this story, is trying to figure out what the real people of Wakanda are doing. And he kind of did that in the Eve Ewing run too. He was in a city undercover. He wasn't T'Challa. He was just some dude. And this is kind of what he's doing now. He's not wearing any type of mask or prosthetics to hide his identity. It's just that people out there don't necessarily know who he is. And so I really enjoy this aspect of him becoming a man of the people, trying to figure out what's going on, getting his hands dirty.
What I found interesting was the interplay between Shuri and Okoye. We're still trying to figure out who the traitor in the midst is.
We kind of forgot about that, to be quite honest with you.
We had.
I completely forgot about it until you just mentioned it.
Yeah. We still don't know. We still don't know.
I still think it's Shuri.
You still think it's Shuri?
Yep.
Why is that?
I don't remember from the issues, 5-6 months ago now what made me think that, but something that I read, how I read it, it just made it seem to me that it was her. And to me, it kind of seems like she's the only one really with something to gain, because if T'Challa's out of the picture, it stands to reason that she's next in line for the throne. So that's part of the reason. That was part of my rationale for thinking that.
Let me show this last page of this issue. Kind of interesting foreshadowing. I will take Moon Knight's challenge. I will shame him. Then I will kill him. First of all, I like the fact that my man Brian Edward Hill likes to use terms like "I will kill him," reasserting the fact T'Challa's a king. He's a warrior. He's not necessarily a superhero in the Ultimate Universe. He's not a member of Avengers or anything like that. This is just T'Challa as a pure king, warrior, and protector of Wakanda. So he has no compulsion with killing his enemies, which I appreciate. She goes, is this your connection with vibranium speaking, or do you think that sounds like wisdom? I think we have failed this region. I think there is much more we need to do. I think Moon Knight was inevitable. We can understand vibranium. But first, we need to understand Africa. I want detailed reports, every criminal network, every humanitarian crisis, all of it. Wakanda will be isolated no more. I will accept his challenge. And after a god is dead, it will be Wakanda that gives people new belief. I am coming.
Let me just interject this. Moon Knight have basically, Khonshu and Ra have basically been holding themselves out to be gods. And so that's what that line means for those who haven't been reading it. So yeah.
He's going out to kill a god. But what's moreover, it's interesting. You think about, I think about the Black Panther movie and how Killmonger did his whole speech about, Wakanda's keep itself isolated and it hasn't helped other brothers and sisters in need with all these resources. And then you think of the Killmonger in this book, who with Storm have been sort of their own rogue operatives doing guerrilla warfare to try to help the people of Africa as their own duo, huh?
They're hippies. They're a couple of hippies.
But the point remains the same, that they're doing the good work. They're trying to help the downtrodden. They're not keeping themselves isolated. They give a care. And finally, T'Challa gets it and says, "You know what? I'm going to try and help everyone else. I'm trying to help all of Africa." So this is great foreshadowing to what's going to happen next, because they have all these resources at their disposal. I always think about, when I see stuff like this, it reminds me of, or makes me think about, back in the Priest run, where the United States was actively trying to usurp Wakanda. And Wakanda kind of had this war with Namor and Atlantis. And Priest had Wakanda pull out its big guns. It had these huge, like aircraft carrier things that are shaped like donuts come out of the water. And they had all these weapons, and the rest of the United States is looking at these Wakandan weapons like, oh my God, we had no idea Wakanda was this powerful.
That wasn't part of that wasn't Hutland's run?
No, it was Priest run. People always sleep on the Priest run. He covered a lot of stuff in his run. But the point was that Wakanda could literally take over the world like that if they so choose. If they so choose. If not take it over, they could certainly destroy the world if they wanted to. I always, when I hear him say things like, I'm going to go beyond, I'm going to protect Africa, understand, in this ultimate universe, Khonshu and Ra are, the world has been carved up into various sectors by the Maker, and Khonshu and Ra have the Africa sector, the Africa region. That's their territory. T'Challa says, I'm going to take over Africa. I'm going to protect Africa through Wakanda. So that's taking his war to a whole nother level. This is him. At first, it was simply these guys are encouraging. Remember how this started? How this started was the assassination of his father by these two guys. So now he's like, I'm taking the fight beyond you attacking us in Wakanda, and I'm going to take over Africa. I'm going to take over this entire region, the region of the Maker, which puts him on a bigger scale. So this is good foreshadowing as to what's going to happen next. I just thought that was kind of cool.
Let me interject this. And if you are not reading the Ultimates and everything that led up to this, you are missing out. In the Ultimate Universe, there was a alt version of Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four. He went by the name of the Maker. He was first introduced, I want to say, in Hickman's run about 15, 20 years ago at this point. Spectacular character. Just imagine Reed Richards as brilliant as he is with no morals attached. What's up, Jamie? That's my Morehouse brother right there. With no morals attached. So basically, the Maker took over planet Earth, and he has a cabal of individuals who are kind of like his governors, so to speak. The world is carved up with everybody having their own little fiefdom. The Incredible Hulk, I want to say, is responsible for America. You've got Captain Britain, who's responsible for Europe, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a very interesting concept. The storyline is very good. It's very well put together. I would highly encourage you folks to pick up the Ultimate line of books, specifically the Ultimates and Ultimate Spider-Man. Is very, very good. Ultimate Black Panther, of course, too. But that goes back to what Paul was saying, is that Africa is under the purview of Khonshu and Ra, collectively known as Moon Knight, with the exception of Wakanda. And now they're having an incursion into Wakanda, and T'Challa is fighting back against that. It's an interesting storyline. I'm interested to see where it's going. But Brian Edward Hill needs to make the trader pay off. Because again, I completely forgot about that. We've not talked about that for like six or seven issues. Damon, yes, Jamie Ayers went to Morehouse. Yes, he did. We are in the house.
We have a super chat. Stephen Turner. Do you think this book has undergone rewrites? It's not just covers. The description on sites for recent issues not match what happened. I think it's possible. I think when that happens, I think it's exactly what happened. I think they have rewrites as it goes along. What do you think, Mark?
So, unlike a lot of you guys, I don't read the advanced stuff. I don't like spoilers. I just want to come into it raw without any expectations and just see what the story is about. Considering how much the cover does not match the interior, it's possible. They could have pushed the storyline with her back or advanced this cover. So, I mean, that makes sense.
I think it was issue like 3 or 4 where the storyline absolutely, the what do you call it? The solicit for the storyline in 3 and 4 absolutely did not match what happened in the book at all. So I think there have been some rewrites on this story. But think about it. The first 2 or 3 issues is where Marvel decides whether or not they're going to extend the run further. So for all intents and purposes, they kind of give writers 5 issue clearances. If you can make it If your numbers are good enough to go beyond 5 issues, they'll give you another 5 issues, and they'll just keep doing it like that. Once your numbers drop below a certain level, that last 5 issue set will be your last set, and the book will get canceled. So they probably gave him Brian Edward Hill. They saw the numbers and say, hey, you know, we'll give you some more, and so he may have changed his storyline accordingly.
You didn't get Steven.
Thank you for your super chat, Steve.
R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. 4.5 years that man has been dead now. Going on 5 years. That's crazy.
Still hasn't been recast.
Yeah.
Says the only Ultimates I didn't pick up was the X-Men. Has anyone checked it out?
I read issue number 1, was not impressed. It was a Japanese writer and artist. I did not like the kind of pastel watercolor type art on it. I'm not getting that. I wasn't a fan after issue
1. Mark does not follow creators, so he may not know their names, but the one he's referring to is Peach Momoko, and he does not dig her art.
Yeah.
I love the Morehouse mentions tonight.
That's my boy Rav.
Hulk smashed the like button. I'm always terrible about this. I'm always terrible. I get called out about the other Black Comic Lords. Listen, y'all. If you're digging the content and you want to say thank you to help us start the new year right, please hit the like button. Just take a second. You're watching us right now. Just look at the phone, hit the little thumbs up thing, the like button. But moreover, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. It costs you nothing. Just click the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell, and you'll know when we're doing these videos in the future because it'll give you a notification and it'll pop up on your feed, and it helps our algorithm so that we can grow the channel. We actually managed to hit a milestone that we were trying to get, which was 4,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. Up there on the last December 31st, we hit 4,000 subscribers. So thank you to you all who have done what I just asked. So keep it going.
Nice.
All right. Hated the Ultimate X-Men. Yeah, I wasn't a fan. It's nowhere near as good as the original Ultimate X-Men from the original Ultimate universe, which was outstanding.
The original, pretty much all of the Ultimate stuff from back then, the ongoing titles, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and the Ultimates, which were basically the Avengers, all of those were good. All of
them. Steve Turner likes Peach Momoko. And your boy Revenel Dupree says, get those MF likes up. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Damon Watson, Ultimate X-Men look nothing like the X-Men, but the Ultimate Wolverine looks like it keeps the spirit of the character. Yeah, that Ultimate Wolverine looks interesting. All right. So, going on, I mentioned before, T'Challa's had some love in terms of being published, despite the fact that this ongoing series, which is still our preference, is not going on. My man Cody Ziegler has been doing his thing over in Marvel. I love the fact that he got his start in Marvel Voices years ago, and he has moved on to doing Spider-Punk, and now Miles, and now he's moved on to Deadpool. He's becoming a big time go.
Uh-oh. So it seems like we lost Paul for some reason. He's got spotty internet connection where he is. So basically what he was discussing was Cody Ziegler, who is a creative, who is behind a lot of different stuff. Cody Ziegler is currently writing the ongoing Miles Morales Spider-Man. I'm not a Miles Morales fan like that. I wish nothing but the best of him. I just have never, for whatever reason, gotten to the Miles Morales books. However, over the past 2 issues, starting at issue number 27, we find our hero T'Challa, who is being featured in issues 27 and 28. For those who don't know, there was the Blood Hunt storyline in the latter part of 24, which is when the original vampire demon Varney basically took over planet Earth. Miles Morales, unfortunately, was infected with vampirism, and he's now seeking a way to get rid of that virus. T'Challa was infected himself. He was infected by Blade, if memory serves. T'Challa went back to Wakanda. His deity Bast helped cure him of his vampirism. So now T'Challa is going again to Bast to try to help the young hero Miles Morales. Go ahead, Paul.
All right, so let me show you a couple scenes in this book that I thought were kind of cool to see. Give me 1 second. I'm having a lot of technical difficulties. If you guys have seen, please just be patient with me.
Right. So, but while he's doing that, we all know, and as from previous discussions, there are Western African gods and there are Eastern African gods. The Heliopians is how I'm pronouncing it, or the Egyptian gods. Bast is a part of that pantheon. Along with Bast, another member of that pantheon is Anansi, who is known as the trickster god or the spider god. He has been around in Marvel for quite some time, even though he hasn't gotten the love that he deserves. And quite frankly, neither have any of the other pantheons that are out there outside of Greco-Roman and Norse gods, with Thor, Hercules, Zeus, things of that nature. We should have more exploration of other pantheons besides the Caucasian pantheons that we've been inundated with over the past 50 or 60 years. But Anansi and Bast are siblings in their pantheon. Go
ahead. Damn, I'm really having some technical problems, man.
Okay. So basically,
I'm almost there.
He's almost there, but while he's doing that, as I said, Miles Morales has been infected with vampirism. T'Challa gave him a suit to try to control his urges of basically biting people and sucking up all their blood. That's the suit that he's wearing right now. T'Challa brought, even though he's not the king of Wakanda anymore, he's still a citizen. He's still welcome back there. And he brought Miles Morales to Wakanda to present him to his god Bast, with the hopes that Bast will cure Miles the way Bast cured T'Challa. The one thing that I will say about this issue while Paul is doing that is I didn't like the way Bast was treating T'Challa. She was acting like a straight up bitch. I didn't understand why she was acting that way. It didn't make no sense to me. But again, you know, gods move in different circles. Their thought processes are different than anybody else's. From a practical standpoint, I see it as her avatar seeking to do a favor for somebody else. And so I don't understand why she would be so up in arms or offended by what he did, but she was.
Let me explain. This goes back, if you recall, to Blood Hunt. T'Challa was infected by Varney with the vampiric, possession, which is considered a defilement of his body. It's an infection. So he sneaks back into Wakanda and goes into Bast's temple in the hopes that Bast or his ancestors would cure him of the vampirism. But he went into Bast's temple to do that. It was considered a sacrilege. So much so that the other prior Black Panthers called him out and said, "How dare you? How dare you defile this holy space with your infection? Bast, you will pay a price for this." Right? And, Bast was not happy. She actually made him go through trials in order to win her favor to be cured of the vampirism at the end of that Blood Hunt series, which, by the way, if you're a Black Panther fan and you have not collected and read Black Panther Blood Hunt by Sherilyn Eaton and Fareed Karami, you're doing yourself a tremendous disservice. It is a 3-issue run and it's outstanding. And honestly, in my opinion, it is a must-have for any serious Black Panther collection.
The Blood Hunt storyline in and of itself was pretty good. I know there are people who didn't like it. I've said in this space many, many times that I hate the cross-issue storylines because they've been nothing but money grabs. The quality has been lowered because they're doing it every year now, sometimes twice a year, when in the past it was like once a year or once every couple of years. Now, every summer, you can expect at least one, perhaps two cross-issue storylines. But this one in particular was very good because it featured and focused on black characters. I mean, Blade, who was a black character, obviously, was the main focus of the Blood Hunt storyline. And then you had T'Challa with his individual three-issue storyline. So all in all, it was one of the better ones that has been done over the past 20 years.
And it was written by Jed McKay, who's the current writer of Avengers and Moon Knight. And everything he does, every time he mentions T'Challa's name, he does something good with the character. This guy, he actually digs T'Challa.
Jim is the writer of T'Challa, unlike the last writer, 2 writers ago, on his own individual title. So yeah.
So in this scene here, it says, "My sister and I may commune with Bast freely, but as an outsider, you must pay a toll. Can't stress enough how much I don't like the sound of that. My brother means to say you must pass a trial." Now understand, what they're going to give him is a piece of the heart-shaped herb to allow him to enter the spirit realm to commune with Bast. Now, this is a little confusing for some. The heart-shaped herb is usually viewed as something that can only be taken by the royals of Wakanda. Those who have some type of direct lineage to, I guess, Bashinga back in the day, where they're a cousin or something, distant cousin, relative, because of you have to have that attribute within your bloodstream that allows you to process the heart-shaped herb and, not die. It's otherwise considered poisonous to ingest it. Now, there are exceptions.
The family line has built up an immunity through eons of taking this herb. So it's in it's literally in the DNA of that royal line for an immunity of this substance because they have taken it for so long. Typically, anybody else outside of their original bloodline who takes it will end up dying. What I think in this case, because Miles has the vampiric virus in his body, that's what prevents him from dying. That's how I interpret
it. Yeah. So this is not the first time you've seen a Wakandan royal take the heart-shaped herb. The Black Panther actually, and this is why I apologize for having these computer issues. There's an issue of, I think it's Peter Parker Spider-Man, where Peter Parker seeks out the help of the Black Panther with an affliction that he has. And he goes to Wakanda. And the Black Panther actually gives him some heart-shaped herb. And he says, this is something, it's sacred to us, it's secret. Outsiders aren't really supposed to take it, and it kills anybody who's not of the royal line. And Peter Parker's like, well, isn't it going to kill me? He's like, no, I think you're going to be fine. He said something to that effect. In essence, alluding to the fact that because Peter Parker already he's super powered.
Peter Parker has a healing factor.
And he has a healing factor. He'll be able to sustain and survive that experience. What's also interesting in that issue, other than the fact that Peter Parker gets cornrows by some Wakandan women, Black Panther actually takes him to a temple in Wakanda for Anansi, the spider god. And they're about to go in, but for some reason they end up not going in. Which raises something that I mentioned a year or so ago about here. Let me show this. In a tweet I made about a storyline that was done in Marvel's Unlimited comic book series. For those of you who don't know, Marvel has Marvel Unlimited, which is a digital series of comics. It's all considered canon, however. A lot of people don't realize that. So, and I think a lot of them are actually free. So you can go on the Marvel Unlimited app or website, and you could actually read these digital comics for free from Marvel, and they are canon. And they usually are consist of creators, writers and artists that are upcoming. Marvel's trying to try them out to see whether or not they'll be upgraded to the big leagues. So in this one series, this is Spider-Verse Unlimited issues 50 through 53. It was written by a brother by the name of Jay Holtham. But here's the interesting thing. Spider-Man comes across Anansi. He goes, Anansi.
That's Peter Parker?
That's Peter Parker. Anansi, that can't be. But it's not just Peter Parker. It's a bunch of spiders. So it's like, I want to say Miles is there too, but there's a bunch of spiders on this rooftop, and they run across Anansi. And he goes, yeah, there's Peter. There's Miles right there. Why not Peter Parker? Did you think the first Spider-Man would just fade away? Understand, Kwaku Anansi is the first Spider-Man. This is canon. Not a Spider-Man, the Spider-Man, the first. And all of you have stolen from me. Spider-Verse Infinity Comics Unlimited. This is issue number 53. So this is not the first time Peter Parker has seen Anansi.
The images that I sent, that dealt with that as well, right?
Say again?
The images that I sent you from that person's tweet from Spider-Man Volume 2, issue like 49, maybe 43, somewhere like that.
I'll show that in 1 second.
Yeah.
So I put this tweet out. This was June of last year. It's official. Kwaku Anansi is the first Spider-Man. Hopefully, Cody Ziegler can work him into a story with Miles Morales, and they can visit Anansi's temple in Wakanda. This is a tweet I made last year, 6 months ago.
Okay. So basically, Paul wants credit for this storyline. This is what he's doing.
Want credit. Moreover, when we interviewed Cody Ziegler, I mentioned the same thing to him. I said, "Hey, you need to have Miles go to Wakanda."
Paul wants credit for that.
I absolutely want credit. It's completely my idea. And you're welcome. You're welcome, everyone. All right, so let's go to this tweet that you're talking about. You said you sent some type of message to me.
Yeah, I sent it earlier today about 2:00 or so.
Right.
But okay, so for me, there was a point in time when I was collecting stuff, not collecting stuff, or whatever, and I would get stuff sporadically. I wasn't getting it on an ongoing monthly basis. And whenever I was reading stuff piecemeal, the storyline was not clicking because you're reading issue 41 in June, then you get issue 48, in August, having missed the other ones in between, et cetera, et cetera. And so storylines weren't necessarily connecting with me. But I have this book right here that this came from.
Right.
And I have no independent recollection of this story. But basically, this is, again, Anansi in 1998 in Amazing Spider-Man. He's been around for 25 years.
It's crazy as the fanboys who saw this Miles Morales issue came out. So, this is that woke stuff again. They're just trying to take away Peter Parker's, his background by saying that he actually descends from some African black god. That's just wokeness. Not realizing that J. Michael Straczynski, who was the writer back in, what year did you say, 98?
Mm-hmm.
He actually wrote that as part of the other storyline, where it was basically, this is where Moreland, the villain, who is a
spider hunter, basically, like Spider-Man.
He's a totem hunter. So whatever character gains their powers from some type of totem animal, he will hunt them to eat that power. And so he was seeking Spider-Man because he was part of the spider totem. And that's where Peter Parker met Ezekiel, who was actually another spider-powered person who preceded Peter Parker.
That was the barefoot, right? The white guy with the gray hair and barefoot.
Correct. Yeah. And he actually takes him to a temple of a spider temple. Actually, I don't think it was Africa. I want to say it was like South America.
What?
It was like a South American spider god temple. They didn't call it Anansi in Africa. It was like a South America or something like that. Kind of like what you saw in that terrible Madam Web movie.
I did watch it.
Yeah, but that's actually not the first time Anansi appeared in Spider-Man comics. There was another issue before that that the name escapes me right at the moment. But here's the interesting thing. A better the representation of this is the representation of you see Anansi in this issue here, but there's a different version of him from a subsequent story that I'll show you here in this book. Spider-Man Fairy Tales #2. This was another story of Anansi, a little bit more in depth. And look at his attire. He even has a mask that kind of looks more like the traditional Spider-Man mask with the eyes and have you. Notice the color scheme with the red and the blues, lines going down the arms, kind of more similar to what you see in a Spider-Man character. This is a limited series from back in the day. So let's go back to what's going on in this current Spider-Man Miles Morales story. So here's this trial. The key is, in fact, a container for an item sacred to our people, not shared with outsiders, and it's the heart-shaped herb, right?
What do you think about that art? I'm not a huge fan of this art, to be honest with you. This part is cool. The other...
So he takes the heart-shaped herb to commune on the spirit realm and immediately comes across Bast. Now, T'Challa's thinking as well, Bast helped heal me from the vampiric affliction, so she's got that ability, although she made him go through a whole bunch of hurdles to do so. He's like, well, I've garnered a lot of coolness with her. She was cool with me. She declared me her champion at the end of it and literally offered the heart-shaped herb out of her own hand to me to take to get my powers back and heal me and etc. So he's like, me and Bast, we're cool. She'll forgive me for this little transgression. She was not happy with because she declares, how dare you, T'Challa, bring to me the herald of my brother, the brother being Bast.
No, the brother Anansi.
I'm sorry. I meant the brother being Anansi. And what's interesting is Anansi says, this is one of my heralds, one of my champions, thereby sort of establishing that Miles is part of a larger group. All of these spider characters are considered heralds of Anansi, the first Spider-Man. And if you noticed his mask, his look here, it's the same one from that Spider-Man's Fairy Tales issue that I showed you. So they borrowed that look. And so T'Challa goes to Bast, as you helped cure me, I wish to do the same for him. But remember, when he tried this before in Blood Hunt, she was not happy. You insult me by bringing another to my realm? One that is spoken for, a herald, one of my most loathsome siblings at my feet. So Bast is not cool with Anansi.
Yeah. I will admit that this part of the story was actually really, really cool. And it goes back to what I was saying a moment ago, is that there is so much material out there that they can do stuff with
Absolutely.
in reference to African-based gods that it would be interesting to see. I think Cheryl Lynn Eaton in 3 issues of Blood Hunt touched more on African gods than anybody else, in almost in the history of Marvel.
Basically, yes.
There was Thor number
10.
Thor annual number 11, I want to say. 10, sorry. Thor annual number 10 that introduced, I want to say that was the first introduction of Shango.
It was.
To the Marvel Universe. He is the African equivalent of the Thunder God. He is basically Thor's counterpart in his pantheon. And as I mentioned a moment ago, two separate pantheons. There's the Orisha and there's the Heliopolis, is how I'm pronouncing it. Basically the Egyptian god. And there is so much that we could do with that. Outside of Set in Thor comics, I don't really, and Bast, of course, and Black Panther, I don't recall any of those other gods ever being discussed, ever being having storylines outside of Thor books, because Odin, back in the day, as the all-father of the Norse gods, was part of this council of Earth-based pantheons that had Zeus, that had Odin. I can't remember the name of like the Hindu gods, things of that nature, but they formed a council of sky fathers to oversee planet Earth, specifically when the Celestials were coming to judge Earth. That aside, those are the only times where we see gods outside of the main two pantheons discussed, and they need to do more with it. And I wish Sherilyn Eaton would get the opportunity to do so. I know that you interviewed Will Moss. I'd love to have him on and discuss more about the fact that that's lacking.
I haven't interviewed Will Moss. I interviewed Tom Brevoort.
Oh, Tom Brevoort. I'm sorry. Yeah, Tom Brevoort. Yeah.
I wanted to post this picture. This picture is our thumbnail for this video, by the way. And the reason being is I thought this picture was important. You have two African gods from two different pantheons, as Marcus pointed out. The Heliopian pantheon in Bast and the Orishas in Anansi.
But they're part of the same. But there's part of the same.
Huh?
But they're part of the same pantheon, though.
No, they're technically part of two different pantheons. Sherilyn Eaton went through that in the Blood Hunt series.
Okay, yeah.
But for Wakanda's purposes, they were brought together in Wakanda, which is she gave the explanation as to why is in another country, another region of Africa. But think about this. We have two African gods from two different pantheons with two black superheroes who are representative of their heralds of these gods. This has never happened in Marvel Comics before. This is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it is.
All on this one page. I would love to get the original art for this page right here. Just because of the significance of this.
So basically what we see here, and I do encourage you folks to pick this up. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a Miles Morales reader. I have nothing against the brother. I'm just not a reader of his. But these two issues, specifically 27 and now 28, dealing with T'Challa, I picked up, and Anansi on the left of your screen is basically pitting T'Challa, the herald or avatar of Bast, against his own herald, Miles Morales. And this is a trial for Miles Morales to see whether or not he will be cured. This was a good book. I've read some of Cody Ziegler's other stuff. Can't say that I'm a huge fan of it, but this storyline I am enjoying.
Yeah. Shout out to Bo Biggs chat. Appreciate you, bro. And with that, you get this.
Show me the money. Yeah! Louder! Show me the money. I need to feel you, Jerry. Show me the money. Jerry, you better yell. Show me the money. I love black people.
That movie came out when I was in law school. Yeah. And I think I realized that was Aries Spears in the movie with him.
That one makes Mark chuckle every time.
That's funny.
All right. So that was a dope issue. That was I'll fast forward. That was my read of the week. I love that issue. I can't
say that I disagree. I understand.
Next book. No, not that one.
What?
Not that one. We're gonna do Sam Wilson next.
Okay, I didn't get that one. I missed that.
You didn't get that one? All right. So let me talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So let me start with this.
Paul doesn't accept Sam Wilson as Captain America. He is now and will forever be the Falcon. Go ahead.
Thank you. That's in essence true. Sam Wilson is Marvel's first African-American superhero.
Listen to what he said. African-American. T'Challa is not African-American. T'Challa is African. So just words have meaning. So yes, he's correct.
to some people that's a truly big deal. He's their first African American superhero. Introduced in 1969, 3 years after T'Challa. He is an original Black character. To have him be made take on the mantle of his quote-unquote partner, he was a sidekick, but to take on the mantle of his partner is a downgrade, in my opinion. He is an original character. He does one of the things Sam Wilson as a character in comics has always struggled with is, am I good enough? Because remember, when he was first introduced in Captain America, he didn't have any powers. He hadn't been changed by the cosmic cube to allow him to commune with birds yet. He was simply a guy who was a social worker who hung out on rooftops, with pigeons a lot. That was like his hobby. But he had no powers. I think in the early issues he had a grappling hook that was attached to his arm. So he'd shoot the grappling hook out, which allowed him to swing from one building to another.
He had the green uniform.
And that's when he had the green uniform. He had no wings yet. So he had to run on rooftops with Captain and try to keep up with Captain America. Now, to his credit, he trained with Captain America, one of Marvel's foremost fighters and athletes. And he trained his body to be at peak human perfection, or whatever they call it. So he worked out a lot. So he's able to try to keep up with Cap, despite the fact that Cap has super serum formula in his system. Would run over rooftops and what have you. Now, eventually, T'Challa said, let me upgrade you, bro. Because Sam himself said, I can't keep up with Cap. He has powers, and he has his cool shield. I don't have anything. I don't have a gimmick. I don't have anything that makes me worthy. So he goes to T'Challa, and T'Challa upgrades him and gives him his first wings, thus making Sam feel more like an actual superhero. But even that wasn't enough, because eventually he still felt like he was in Captain America's shadow. So much so that he split up their partnership and said, I'm going to go solo because I need my own identity. The brothers in Harlem aren't respecting the fact that I'm running around with the white, blonde hair, blue-eyed dude who's wrapped in red, white, and blue. And my people are struggling in the streets. They view me as a sellout. Whole storylines about this. Sam Wilson was considered a sellout in Harlem. He's like, I need to establish my own identity. He's always struggled with being good enough as a superhero. That has been a common theme. Even when they had the Falcon and Winter Soldier television series, that he dealt with that theme. When they said, hey, Sam, Steve Rogers gave you the shield. Why'd you turn it back in? I don't feel like I'm good enough. That was the theme. And so I struggle with the concept that him being Captain America now makes him palatable, now makes him good enough, is considered an upgrade for him. He's always been good enough. Or else he wasn't good enough. Why would Captain America hand him the shield? He's always been good enough. He's never had to have a shield and a red, white, and blue costume to define him and have the moniker of Captain America to make him good enough as a Black superhero who's original character.
And so I look at it differently.
That's just my personal opinion. I know other people like, hey, it's a mantle, what have you. But for me, there says something. They're so in our modern era of comics, particularly at DC Comics, so many of the characters that look like us are brown-faced versions of an existing character. They're legacy characters. And there's so few of the original Black characters that get their shine, that get their emotion the way they should.
I look at it differently from Paul for a variety of reasons, but one of them being that there have been other people other than Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers to have the moniker or mantle of Captain America, because that's just what it is. You put on the red, white, and blue, you have the shield, and you are accepted by the government, then you are in effect Captain America. We know that Johnny Walker was Captain America. We know that Bucky, another Steve Rogers protege slash sidekick, was also Captain America. So that's how I'm viewing it. I understand what Paul is saying as an original Black character. Why would you go away from that? But for me, I just look at it as a continuation of the mantle of Captain America, having somebody who trained with and under Steve Rogers taking up that mantle. Now, considering the fact that Steve Rogers is still around, you don't need two Captain Americas. You just don't. But if he was missing, then yeah, I can understand that. But it's not necessary right now. But I don't take as much issue with it as Paul does.
So here's the thing. If you just look at this cover, it actually talks about one of the things that I think is a big issue for me personally. The reason it makes no sense for me for Sam Wilson to want to seek and be Captain America is because if you want a Black Captain America, there are people that it makes more sense to give that title to. One of them is on the cover of this book. If you look in the lower left-hand corner, you've got Elijah Bradley, the grandson of Isaiah Bradley, who was the second Captain America. I'd say he's the first. He's not technically. He's the second Captain America. And Elijah's his grandson with the same super soldier serum from his grandfather. It's a whole story. But he, as the superhero patriot, is the natural successor to the mantle of Captain America. His lineage directly goes back to the second Captain America, Isaiah Bradley. He actually has super soldier serum in his bloodstream and has been trained by Captain America himself as well. That's the one who should be the new Captain America.
And at some point he may be.
And at some point, hopefully, he may be. But what's interesting about the solicits for this story is the solicits for issue number 2, which shows, first let me show you these covers. Torrin Clark did an outstanding job. By the way, I'm a big thing about seeing multiple Black superheroes on the cover because of the McDuffie rule. You got Sam Wilson here, Elijah Bradley here, War Machine, and Storm. 4 Black superheroes on one cover. That's just cool to me. So you got these other covers, right? But moreover, let's get out of this. We go to the next issue. Look at the solicit. Issue number 2, Sam Wilson versus Red Hulk. After Eagle Star shows his true colors, Sam tangles with their big, red, and furious head of security, but another player is about to enter the fray. Josiah X. He's got a new mission and a new look, but he is here to help Sam or pursue his own agenda. Who's he talking about? This brother right here. Josiah X. Who's Josiah X? Josiah X is the son / clone, it's messy, of Isaiah Bradley. Basically, Isaiah Bradley, he's got a really sad story. After going out as Captain America and doing his duty and being a superhero, he was subsequently imprisoned for like 30 years. And much of that time, like at least half of that time, if not more, was spent in solitude, which kind of degraded his brain along the super soldier serum that he had and turned him into a childlike figure. So much of his history has spent in prison. During that time, they took like samples of his tissues and basically samples from his wife when she had, I think, surgery or something, and they created a clone that was born in a surrogate mother to try and recreate the super soldier serum again, and they created Josiah X.
Where has he appeared? Because I've never seen this dude before.
You just forgot. He appeared in a comic book called The Crew, which was done by, was it Priest or Hubbard? It was Priest. It was Priest or Hudlin, one of the two. But it was a team of heroes that consisted of War Machine, James Rhodes, although he never wore really his costume. Casper Cole, not that crew. That's the second crew. The first crew was James Rhodes, Casper Cole, who was another Black Panther, White Tiger type guy. Junta, however it's pronounced, who's a spy dude, and Josiah X. Josiah X also went into the military, has powers because he is the son of Isaiah Bradley. He has the same super soldier serum enhanced abilities. He's a Muslim, so there's that. And he disappeared. We haven't seen this dude in over 20 years, probably, right? And so he's being introduced now as this character called the Shadow Soldier. And if you look at this, this is the design variant that's done by Torrin Clark, who redesigned his look. He's got that star that makes him look good. He's got the do-rag hair thing. He's got the triangular shield, similar to Isaiah Bradley. Isaiah Bradley had a shield that actually was, it had the double victory symbol on it. Mark, you were in the military. I know you're a military guy. You'll probably get that. The double victory symbol, victory at home, victory abroad,
right,
which was kind of the moniker in World War II for black soldiers because they're assumably fighting for victory, in Germany and Japan, and in the hopes that they'll have victory at home and being treated as equals.
Right.
Which obviously,
when I look at this character design, you know what I'm getting? I'm getting Night Thrasher vibes off this dude for some reason.
Okay, maybe because of the color scheme. But you
that may be it. That's the first thing that I think about when I see that. Is I think Night Thrasher. But yeah.
All right, so let's get back to the story. Though. A couple things about this issue. Now, the thing that's been sort of hitting on the internet has been this one scene out of this book. Or this sort of storyline in the book. So in this story, we talked about Isaiah Bradley and Josiah X, who's going to be introduced in the next issue. But in this particular story, we have a meeting there's a appearance by Isaiah Bradley. There's a gathering of superheroes. Sam Wilson is going there. There's a scene with him and Cap, Steve Rogers. Beforehand, and Steve Rogers is like, where are you going? He's like, I'm meeting with some friends to go have something to eat. He goes, oh, well, I guess I'll see you later. He says, oh, no, you can go. You'll know some people there. And so he brings Captain America, Steve Rogers, to this gathering, and it's all to see Isaiah Bradley.
So basically, Steve Rogers has been invited to the cookout.
He's been invited to cookout. It's like Isaiah Bradley's birthday or something like that. And you've got all these black superheroes. And what's interesting about this sort of opening scene, you see Cap saluting Isaiah Bradley. You got the military guy. You got James Rhodes, Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodes, right next to him, honoring him. Behind him, you see the shield that I was referencing with the double victory symbol on it. And you see the Captain America outfit that he wore when in one time that he got to place Captain America and ended up being imprisoned for 30 years. Steve Rogers actually brought that uniform to him in the end of his Red, White, and Black series, which is where the character was introduced, and brought him his uniform, basically.
This series, for those who don't know, the series is called Truth. Red, White, and Black. And it's about a 5-issue limited series. If you do not have it, highly recommend.
Absolutely. And you also see next to Isaiah his grandson, Elijah, who we have not seen for a while. Last sighting, we haven't seen him in a regular series in forever, since Young Avengers.
Yeah, he was part of the Young Avengers. Captain America of the Young. He was the Captain America of the Young Avengers.
Moreover, in the very first issue of Young Avengers, he was dead center in the cover in the first issue cover. He was basically the star of that cover, in the center of it. What's interesting is Elijah was always depicted with a bald head, and now he's got he's got his hair as a teenager. He's got hair, got a fade, which makes him look more like a regular teenager. So I thought that was kind of cool, very cool. But in the next picture is the one that's been sort of talked about on the internet. This gathering of all these superheroes. I mean, you've got Luke Cage, Dr. Voodoo, Cloak, Blade, who's kind of antisocial. Photon.
Blue Marvel is sitting right there.
Blue Marvel. And notice he's not putting the Photon, so I guess they're still not together. Storm, Miles Morales, Misty Knight, Ironheart.
The only person who seems to be missing is T'Challa, and in the McKay run of the Avengers, T'Challa is off planet on a side quest mission. So that would be
in this. I thought that too, but when you read the story, they actually break to go on a mission, and they said, "Yeah, Carol Danvers and T'Challa are already on scene at whatever."
Okay.
That is going on. So the reason T'Challa's not there, he's actually at an emergency going on right now.
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough.
But I thought the same thing, that he's technically at the Meridian Diadem,
whatever it's called.
So I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that.
Now here's the thing with Isaiah Bradley, going back after Truth, Red, White, and Black. Isaiah Bradley made an appearance during the wedding of T'Challa and Storm, and people made a big deal about his appearance at that time. Because, understand, he is an elderly man. He's got to be in at least 75, if not older. But because of the super soldier serum coursing through his veins, his aging has been diminished, although his mind is affected. But he made an appearance at the wedding in Wakanda of T'Challa and Aurora Monroe. And a lot of the heroes at that time made a big deal about the fact that, that's Isaiah Bradley right there. So to see him get the love from the Black superhero community is a very, very important thing.
On his birthday.
And one of the things that I've said, time and again, after we had WandaVision, which was a very, very good show, we got the Agatha series that nobody asked for, but it was good. After Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I personally was asking for an Isaiah Bradley limited series. It only needed to be 6 issues. You focus on Isaiah Bradley during the war years when he was active during the Korean or Vietnam War, however they want to do it. You focus on his grandson to get ready for the Young Avengers, what they've been trying to push with Kate Bishop. And that could have led into the upcoming Sam Wilson Captain America series, but they didn't do that. We know that Isaiah Bradley is going to be a part of the upcoming movie. We understand that he's been brainwashed somehow, or whatever the case may be. He attacks the president, Thunderbolt Ross, who has been recast after the unfortunate death of William Hurt, but they can't recast T'Challa. That's a whole nother issue. But it would have been nice to see a storyline involving a Black character who came from something else. They've done it with, as I said, Agatha Harkness. My understanding now is that they're going to be having another series focusing on Billy, who is Wanda's son, who is part of Agatha's series. So you get all these white characters getting spinoffs and spinoffs. Where are the Black characters? Photon isn't going to be seen again. The Marvels, which was a very good movie, nothing is going to be done with that. So Photon is just going to be out there. We're not going to see anything with her. So it would have been nice to have a Black-centric character, and Isaiah Bradley was a prime character that they could have delved into. Nate Parker was my fan cast to play a young Isaiah Bradley.
I want to go into the comments because people have been talking about here. Ravenel Dupree says Storm isn't African American either, but she was there. She technically lives in Atlanta, so maybe it's a proximity thing.
She is African American. Like her dad is American. Her mom is African.
Her mom is Kenyan and her dad is African American.
He's like from Brooklyn or some shit.
Louisiana Kid says, I put this in my pull list today. Black Spider asks, does Cap own the Shield or does the USA own the Shield?
USA owns it. They
The USA typically owns the Shield. There was a storyline in Captain America where the government asked Cap to do something he didn't want to do. He stepped down as Captain America and was asked to give back the Shield because it's actually government property. They created it and gave it to him to perform his role as Captain America. And so when John Walker became Captain America, and then Steve Rogers became, the Soldier? I think he was called. Nomad, and then he became the Captain. He was Nomad, but then he had the Captain,
black suit.
He was called the Captain.
Was it the Captain?
It was called the Captain.
Okay.
He was given a vibranium shield created by Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I was like issue 341, somewhere around there. Hype Style says, I'm glad Sam has his own shield. Show his birth control powers more. Also show the pull he has as an activist in communities. Continue with him dating Misty. Show him commanding military troops now.
So I don't know. Is he still dating Misty? I don't know if he is or he's not.
I believe so. There's even a reference in the storyline where his cousin Billy is referencing the fact that Misty's there. I think they're still dating. At the end of his prior Sam Wilson Captain America series from last year, they were together. So
that's really the only Black superhero love that we have. Other than, and again, I don't read Miles Morales, but I guess Miles is dating somebody with powers, I guess.
Yes, Starling.
Okay. All right.
They're the only Black super love couple in an ongoing mainstream series.
Right. Okay.
What's interesting, Hype Style mentions Sam Wilson, unlike Steve Rogers, owns his own shield. And it is just as good, arguably, maybe even better than Cap's shield, Steve Rogers' shield, because T'Challa made it. He made it out of adamantium and vibranium, I believe, is the materials that they said it was made out of. Whereas Cap's shield, Captain America, Steve Rogers' shield, was always described as a combination of vibranium and some type of steel alloy. They never specify what it is. Sam Wilson's shield is specifically made out of vibranium and adamantium, so it's pretty indestructible.
Two of the strongest metals in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, the Marvel universe,
which will be a big deal in that movie coming out. Though.
Right. Hold on a second. T-Mail, I like that shirt, bro. I like that Harriet Tubman shirt in your profile.
Herschel, the Troll Master, says Black people didn't support Falcon as Falcon like they do him as Captain America. Sam's longest running title was as Captain America at 25 issues.
So other than the 4-issue Priest run of Falcon back in the 80s, did he ever have a Falcon run? And I can't recall.
Yes, he did. He had one with Rodney Barnes.
I don't know that I have that.
Yeah, it was only 8 issues, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know that I have that.
Yeah.
What are the comments?
Manifesto, no one was checking for Falcon. It makes sense if you consider the tradition of sidekick being given the mantle.
Right. And I'm with you, Manifesto, because again, as I mentioned earlier, the same thing happened with Bucky Barnes. You know, he was a sidekick of Steve Rogers, and then during the Straczynski run back in the early 2000s, he became Captain America after Cap was killed by Sharon Carter.
It is not unusual for a sidekick to be given the mantle of the superior main hero. That's not unusual. It happens. but it only happens temporarily. Usually. The exception is maybe the Flash, where what's his face, Wally West becomes Flash. The thing is, for me, Sam's already done that. He's been there, done that. Nightwing was Batman for a while, but ultimately he became Nightwing again because that's who he is.
But at least Sam has the Falcon persona to fall back on at some point.
Well, that's my sticking. That's my sticking. Is that Marvel has gone all in because, as I've said this before, Marvel Comics is no longer the source material for the MCU. Marvel is now, when they say Marvel, they mean the MCU. That's where the money is. That's what Kevin Feige's in charge of. And Marvel Comics is no longer the source material for the MCU. It is the promotional material for the MCU. And in the MCU, because Chris Evans' contract is up, Anthony Mackie is cheaper, he's now Captain America. So they're going to make him Captain America in the comic books to be consistent with what the promotional material for the movie that's coming out. And one of the things that you keep hearing, if you watch and you read all these issues where you see Cap Falcon in, something that always comes up is, I don't have a super soldier serum in my veins. I'm not as strong as Steve Rogers. It keeps coming up. I'm willing to bet money that by the end of this movie coming out, Sam Wilson's going to get super soldier serum, which is great. I still think he needs to go back to being Falcon. Let him have the super soldier serum in his veins. He already has the one superpower where he can talk to birds and see through the eyes of birds, which they reference in this issue as well. Give him the boost of the super soldier serum. That's fine. But make him Falcon again. Make Falcon great again. Give him the superpower. You know what Falcon's problem is? He's never got an upgrade. He has not had an upgrade in some time to his suit. There are plenty of things they could do with the suit to make him a better character, and they haven't done so. His super soldier serum shouldn't be necessary. They could have simply upgraded his suit.
So, and let me say this, since we're on this topic, MCU Sam Wilson is better than Marvel 616 Sam Wilson.
Correct. Absolutely.
To me. And MCU Sam Wilson comes directly from the Ultimate line of Falcon that we discussed earlier when we were talking about the Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Spider-Man, et cetera, from 2003, 4, 5, whenever that series first dropped. This Sam Wilson is that dude, and I do enjoy it.
Ultimate Sam Wilson, Ultimate Falcon from the Ultimate series is a far superior Falcon than we have in the 616 universe. Mm-hmm. To be fair, much of DC's white characters are also legacy characters, and I have a problem with that too.
Yeah,
I think it leads to unoriginality. Bo Big says they bring Patriot and Josiah X back. Hope they bring back my boy Battlestar back. He's dead. He dead.
Not that chunk from the show. Yeah. The guy from the show, his name is Che. Is it Williams? I can't remember the actor's name, but he should be a bigger star than he actually is. The problem with him, brother is like 52, 53 years old. So his star-making potential has bypassed him, but he should be a bigger star than he actually is, which is a shame.
I agree with I Manifesto's assertion here. The MCU rendition actually made his wings cooler and more realistic to me. Yeah, I agree. In the MCU, Falcon used his wings better than he does in the comic books.
Correct.
Using the shield, it's kind of like this is one of the reasons why I can't stand him as Captain America. He flies around and uses a shield. Why? What the hell does he need the shield for? His wings.
Because that's
let me finish. The MCU established that his shield, his wings are bulletproof. Even more so after Falcon and Winter Soldier, where he got his new getup from Wakanda. So his wings are made out of vibranium. They're pretty strong. Like I don't know if it's as strong as Cap's shield, but it's pretty up there. He uses his wings as shields. He can cut through stuff with them. It's a tremendous power boost. The shield is irrelevant. In fact, before he got the upgrade from Wakanda, you saw him in Age of Ultron using his guns. He would just shoot people, or he has the rockets to come out. This is offensive capabilities. He doesn't need to throw a shield. It makes no sense. It's
because he's Paul, because he's Captain America, and to be Captain America, you have to have the shield. It makes perfect sense. I understand that you disagree with. Listen, I understand you disagree with it, but it makes perfect sense.
It's a downgrade.
John Walker was bulletproof. He was super strong. He didn't need a shield, but he had it because it's part of the Captain America uniform. So I get it. What are the comments? Yep.
Damon Watson, as an ex-soldier, I like the idea of Sam being a Captain America because it allows storytelling about the complexities of defending a country that hates you. But that was addressed perfectly by Storm. Okay, I can see that.
Thanks for your service, Damon.
But it was also already addressed in the previous Sam Wilson Captain America storyline. He doesn't need to be Captain America again, in my opinion. Ravenel Dupree says, from a marketing and promotion standpoint, having Sam Wilson as Captain America rather than Falcon gets him more attention.
Yeah, it does.
Agreed. And that's unfortunate because Falcon should be good enough. They need to upgrade Falcon rather than give him someone else's mantle. Upgrade the character. Upgrade his power set. It's not that difficult to do.
Yeah.
Man, ain't nobody dead in comics. That's true.
Except Bill Foster, who's been dead for 20 years now.
Yeah, true. That's makes no sense. Herschel the Troll, yes, yet again. All of these guys are legacy characters under Steve's lineage. Fans need to pick a struggle. Okay. Being used to defend imperialistic, capitalist interest of a country in reality. Yes.
That's true.
And all superheroes are technically cops. As Herschel says, pick your struggle. Damon Watson, as a black man who finds a way to love America, you love what it can be, even if you're frustrated with what it is. I like that in Stamship. They actually address that, I think, a little bit in this book. That's actually Sam Wilson's standpoint, is I recognize America as a sucky place, but I believe in what it can be, its potential. And that's kind of the theme that runs through them.
Yeah. Yep.
Hudlin.
Right. I agree, Bo Biggs. Yes. Basically, hold on a second. Basically, what Bo Biggs is talking about, if I'm not mistaken, is when you were talking about the super wheel, so to speak, that coming out of the water. That was during the Hudlin run because that was part of the animated series where you had the Rice type character in the stop motion or whatever. So I agree with Bo Biggs. I think that was part of Hudlin's run, not Priest's run.
Now you're making me stop and pause and prove that I am right.
You very well could be, but I don't remember from Priest. I definitely remember from Hudlin.
Okay.
Because they sent these kind of zombie soldiers, these Deathlock soldiers, to Wakanda to try to help Wakandans, and T'Challa's like, yeah, we don't need your help. And that was most definitely during the Hudlin run, because as you are aware, the first 12 issues of Hudlin's run was part of the 6-episode stop motion Black Panther cartoon that can be found for free on YouTube if you have not seen it.
That cartoon was so good.
Mm-hmm. Jaimin Hansu was T'Challa. What's my name? What's my girl's name? Jill Scott was Storm.
Now you're making me switch screens. All right. This is Volume 3, Issue 27. Storm and Drang. Story of Love and War.
Yeah, I have no independent recollection.
Written by who?
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Christopher Priest.
When you're right, you're right. But I have no independent.
These are the mechanics I was referring to, shaped like donuts.
Yep.
Powers of Wakanda.
When did this book come out? Probably like around 2003-ish.
Came out February of 2001.
2001. So going on literally 24 years ago, I have no independent recollection of that because I haven't read it since then.
We got to catch up in our stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go back.
What are the comments? What other comments do we have?
Go back to the comments.
Yeah.
Ravenel Dupree. There was a Falcon run after Sam gave up the mantle after Secret Empire that didn't sell as well, but his Captain America run prior to that ran for 25 issues. Yes, that's the Rodney Barnes one I was talking about.
Gotcha. Okay.
Herschel the Troll. Black people buy more Sam Cap books than Falcon books. We are telling Marvel we want Cap. And you keep saying the same thing over and over. Double V, yes, the Double V, Double Victory Shield. Original crew was written by Priest. Thank you. Priest. Cap saluted. That was kind of cool. Cap always salutes Isaiah Bradley. He recognizes game.
Mm-hmm.
Manifesto. I kind of like that triangle-shaped laser-tipped shield, yet nothing beats the offensive shield's slanging capability of a round shield. Yeah,
correct.
He's referring to the triangular shield that Cap had when he was evil and tried to take over the world.
I hate that storyline.
Everyone hates that storyline. Hype Style, please show Josiah's faith life as a Muslim and the loving mosque community he is a part of. That is important, especially in light of the actions of the Samsud-din Jabbar. Pray for everyone.
I have no idea who that is.
I don't know what that is, but I do agree that his faith as a Muslim.
Is that the dude in New Orleans this past couple of days ago? So for those who don't know, if you've not been paying attention to the news at all, on January 1st or so, some dude drove a car intentionally into the French Quarter, killing at least 10 people. They're saying that he was Muslim. He was an American from Texas, but Muslim, and I don't know his name, and I wonder if that's who Hype Style is referring to. I don't know.
Ah, I see. I don't follow the news, so
yeah.
But I did hear about that.
What
it was a respect fest. It was. The scene was cool. There was a I'm not going to say the guy's name, but there was a comment made where someone was calling out the scene and declared it to be pandering, in essence. Like, why is Marvel doing this? Why is Marvel doing a scene with a bunch of black superheroes at a cookout? It's pandering to try to get people to buy the books. And I was like, why wouldn't you do that? Well, first of all, it's not Marvel to do this. When you say it's Marvel, you think of some type of soulless corporate entity who's doing things for the purposes of selling books and making us spend money on it, right? Understand. The co-writer of this book is Evan Narcisse. Evan Narcisse is black. Evan Narcisse is a brilliant writer. Evan Narcisse was the one who, Mark, I know you don't follow creators. He's the one who wrote Rise of the Black Panther.
I have that.
You have that. He's an excellent writer. He wrote the one-shot on Anansi from Milestone Comics. The artist on this is Valentine Delandro. He's also black. He was the artist on the Ghostlight series. It's these guys that said, hey, it would be cool to have a bunch of black superheroes honor Isaiah Bradley in a Sam Wilson Captain America book as being the first black Captain America. Just have him come out to honor him on his birthday. Why is that a bad thing? It's not pandering. If I was writing the book, I would do the same thing because I'm a fan. The same characters we see in this book, the Dr. Voodoo, Cloak, Patriot, Blade, Ironheart, War Machine. These are characters we talk about as black fans all the time in the space. These are our characters. These are the ones that we love. If I'm the writer, black writer at that, and I have an opportunity to put them in a scene that makes sense, where you're honoring one of your black heroes and a bunch of black superheroes show up to the birthday party, that makes sense.
It's fan service in a different way from what anime fans expect.
It's fan service, but it's not done just because we're trying to sell a bunch of books. It's because it's cool and something that we, as black fans, would love to see. We bitch about this stuff all the time. Why can't we get more than 2 black people in the comic book? You have an opportunity to do it. Do it. The guy who did it the best, Ta-Nehisi Coates. Black Panthers 24 and 25, all black issues. 24, he put 10 black superheroes on the cover of a comic book. Never been done. On the cover of a Marvel comic book. He had all black superhero issue, epic style, endgame battle. All black superheroes. Not a single white person in those books.
What do we have?
I got no problems with it. Sync was leader of the X-Men recently. He should have been there. I mean, that's the most common comment. Well, who wasn't there? But the fact remains there's a lot of people there.
Right.
People should have been there.
Listen, not everybody's going to show up to every
Not
party.
everybody.
Whatever. Yeah.
Somebody got a call and asked, who all over there? And the person on the ozone said, everybody. Just come through.
That's funny. So where's Isaiah Bradley from? Do you know? Like, where in the States is he from? Something told me Louisiana, but I don't know that for a fact.
I don't remember where they said he was from in the comic book.
Yeah, I don't either. If anybody knows in the chat, go
I
ahead.
want to say it was Chicago, but don't hold me to that. I don't remember.
I'm saying Louisiana, but I don't know. What else?
Moon Girl.
Yeah, she had a curfew. She couldn't be there. She couldn't get away.
Moon Girl's secret identity is a secret to her parents. You can't have a 12-year-old just say, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm out. I'll catch y'all tomorrow."
Right.
I'm, flying out somewhere. That's
right.
Yeah.
That's
pretty much real pull up. Daniel Watson, I will give you credit as having the best comment of the night.
Yeah.
Ozone is autocorrect for on the field. Okay. Man. Who is the guy with silver hair in the group? I don't remember. The person, everyone's talking about him. Someone mentioned who he is, but I don't remember who the guy was. Cap had just a vibranium shield, became the captain. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Black and red suit was kind of cool. Yes, Captain America suit as the captain is kind of cool as a black and red suit.
Yeah.
Damn, how many comics do you guys collect?
A lot. You have to understand something, that both Paul and I are on the north side of 50. We have collectively been collecting for over 40 years apiece. So a lot.
Yeah. Been reading comic books since I was 4 years old. Do the math. It's a lot of damn comics. KL, they got everything.
Showing up at Isaiah.
I wish I did. But I do have a lot. I've read a lot.
That's funny. What other comments?
I need to buy some issues.
Yeah, you need to get a couple.
You guys, look, on the real though, if you guys ever have something that we're big about Black Comic Lords, if you ever have questions about, what comics to buy or stuff that we're referencing, what issue is that? Where can I find that? Just ask. We're not going to we don't know everything. We don't. I'm not going to pretend like I know everything. I just know what I know, the stuff that I've read over my lifetime, which has been a lot. If I can share that with other people to get them to read it too, because it's a cool story, I will. But I don't pretend to know everything. But that's the whole purpose of the space, is that we're supposed to share from each other. I learn stuff from you guys all the time too. I thought Cap Shield was adamantium, vibranium, and an alloy that became fused during an experiment that couldn't be duplicated. That is true. It's adamantium, steel, alloy that was merged with vibranium. I forget the storyline that actually showed that it was an African who made Captain America's shield. It was in a storyline that was just done 4 years ago. I can't remember what it was called. I'm sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head. But yes, there was an African guy who made it. Bo Biggs, the silver hair character, is a protector from Agents of Atlas. Thank you.
I never read Agents.
It was like something Pan or something like that. I don't remember his name. I love Rodney Barnes' run. I wish they had continued it. He was very Batman-esque. Yeah, the Rodney Barnes Falcon run was kind of cool. Rodney Barnes actually said he did not like his writing. I think it was his first writing gig, comic book writing gig, and he was not pleased with what he did on that run. But he did do some cool things. Like he dealt with vampires in that run. He had Blade show up. He had Misty Knight in that run. He had Patriot in that run. He really did a lot of cool things.
So those who don't know, Rodney Barnes is an actor, writer, and an all-around creative.
Producer.
Right. I had the opportunity to interview him during Dragon Con here in Atlanta back in September. I sent the information, I sent the videos over to you guys. Hopefully you posted it. If not, it would be nice if you guys posted it. But that dude, A, is cool as hell. B, he's a good follow on Instagram. If you have Instagram, follow him on Instagram. C, that dude is tall as hell. That dude is like 6'12". I mean, he is really tall, but he's a really chill, cool dude. He's active on social media, so if you can follow him. I don't know if he's over on Blue Sky. I know he was active on Twitter and Instagram. He's a huge horror movie fan. So on his Instagram page, he's always talking about horror movies. If you have the Instagrams, look up Rodney Barnes on there. Really cool dude. Really, really cool dude. And as an aside, Philadelphia that Paul put me on to over on Image Comics is a very, very good read. And Anansi features, we were talking about Anansi earlier. Anansi is getting a lot of props in pop culture now. You've got the Anansi boys from, is it Dark Horse?
It's Dark Horse or Image. It's one of those two. It's either Dark Horse or Image. It might be Image.
Or Dark Horse Comics.
Sean Martin, bro.
Right. From Neil Gaiman. The Anansi boys in Philadelphia, Anansi features prominently, and in Marvel, Anansi features prominently. So it's interesting that this particular character who's been on the shelf, who has been in existence for literally thousands of years because he's part of an African pantheon, is getting a lot of love in modern pop culture. He's not known to a lot of people outside of these circles, but I just find it interesting that he's appearing in all these different books and stories.
Louisiana Kid says, Paul, I really like that milestone picture you have behind you, so I had to order one off of ebook today. Oh, that's cool. That's this one right here references February 27th, 1993, which was the release date for the first Milestone book. It's the creation of Milestone. All the art done by Dennis Cowan. It was a promo picture. And Dennis Cowan popped up in our live this past Wednesday and said that he has the same picture. When I interviewed him, he had the picture behind his wall, behind him. And he said, yeah, I had the same picture on my wall too. I love that poster. It's one of my prized possessions. He's going to be here in 3 weeks, Dennis Cowan, and I'm going to ask him if he can sign that poster for me. Manifesto. Tony Stark's father was involved in its creation.
Yes, Howard was.
Herschel the Troll says Falcon was never a sidekick, even from his genesis. I'm glad BCL has videos to prove he was Captain America's equal and not his sidekick.
Listen, he wasn't. He just wasn't. Even though the books.
Herschel wants to say we have evidence that these are videos that he did, which is his opinion, which is not accurate.
Even though I have plenty of books that says Captain America and Falcon as quote unquote partners, Falcon was always the sidekick. Always. So what?
I mean, literally, canonically in the story, they have this debate where Falcon says, I'm leaving you, Captain America, because I'm not your equal. And Captain America says, well, I've always viewed you as an equal. And he's like, dude, come on. I'm not. So I'm going to go do my own thing. It's a whole storyline.
Yeah.
To say that he is not a sidekick is just...
Falcon is to Steve Rogers the way Dick Grayson is to Bruce Wayne.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Can't say otherwise.
He was a sidekick.
Yep.
It's okay. It's okay. It'll be okay. He's a sidekick.
What are the comments? Thank you, Bo.
Thank you, Bo Big. Gotta look him up.
Who else?
Was it Illich who said Kevin Feige is essentially the editor-in-chief for Marvel now? Whatever what he says, go. I don't know if he said that, but it's 100% accurate. Kevin Feige runs Marvel. If Kevin Feige says, you know what? I don't want T'Challa to come back in the comics, that's what's going to happen. He runs Marvel now because Marvel's the promotional material. Marvel Comics is promotional material for the MCU at this point. He don't talk to birds in the movies. No, he does not. I actually missed that ability, but I understand that it would be a little difficult to explain to people
how did this regular soldier guy get this power and ability? Yeah,
it'd be kind of difficult for people to wrap their head around that.
And if memory serves, I don't recall the ultimate Sam Wilson ever displaying that ability anyway. So
yeah, I don't think he had that. He was indeed a sidekick to Captain America in the comic, despite his inherent capabilities and agency.
Correct.
Absolutely agreed. Herschel's the only one who stands on that square. Man, Terrence Harris dropped the biggest ball bag by complaining about his pay way too early.
Vision, not big vision, but understand in 2008, nobody knew that the MCU was going to be what it is today. So
more accurately, in 2008, the MCU technically didn't exist yet.
It was in its burgeoning phase. It was just starting. Yeah.
Mario Bryson, Sam Wilson should have gotten the Nightwing treatment in the mid-90s.
So basically what Mario is saying is in the mid-90s, Nightwing, who was Dick Grayson, a.k.a. Robin, broke away from Bruce Wayne Batman and was running the Teen Titans, had his own group and had his own agency and became viewed as a leader and a superhero in his own right, not just the sidekick to Batman.
Yeah. I mean, Nightwing has had some runs, right? His best run, arguably, is this most recent one done by the creator Bruce Redondo. And I think it's written by Tom Taylor. That's probably the best run Nightwing's ever had. It got awards, in fact. But for the most part, Nightwing primarily has just been with the Titans.
Yeah. Tom Taylor, for those who don't know, is a writer. He is one of the best top 10 comic book writers out today, in my opinion. Love his stuff. Love his stuff.
But he's never supplanted Batman.
Never.
Even when he's in a book with Batman, he still takes a subservient role to Batman. Even though they're equals, quote unquote equals, because he has his own mantle now. When Dick Grayson shows up in Gotham, he still does what Batman tells him to do.
Because that's his mentor. And he's younger, significantly younger. He will always take a back seat to him. Because, psychologically, when somebody has raised you and taught you, even subconsciously, you're going to defer to that person. I see that in my own personal relationships with individuals who are significantly younger than me, who I help, raise, guide, or whatever. They're like, even at this big grown adult age, they will defer to me. And Dick Grayson will always defer to Bruce Wayne, even if he has his own ideas or vision of how things will be, he will express them, but will ultimately probably defer to Bruce Wayne because of that relationship that they established, over 20, 30 years, however long it was.
Falcon should be a Nightwing. Yeah. MCU has a much better origin story than the original 616 story for Falcon.
Concur.
Yeah. Sam Wilson should have gotten the Nightwing treatment. Everyone agrees with the Nightwing thing. Legacy characters, aka the good old boys, aka the old guard. Yes.
Aka white folks.
Stephen Turner with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat, sir. Let's do our super chat. All right. Thank you, sir. It says, Jane Foster, Mighty Thor run with art by Russell Dodderman was such a good comic run in terms of legacy characters. Wish MCU lived up to the comic. Yeah. That's one of the instances where the MCU does not live up to what's in the comic book. MCU Falcon can use the shield as a projectile.
Yeah, it's an option. So earlier you were mentioning the fact that Sam Wilson has the wings, which act as a shield, which I absolutely agree with.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual shield is more of an offensive weapon, even though
I agree.
it has access to the shoulder rockets or whatever the case may be. So,
I mean, if I'm trying to wreck some stuff offensively, what's more effective? Me throwing a shield
or the rocket,
or shooting somebody with guns and rockets?
But see, here's the thing: if you're not wanting to kill somebody necessarily, you throw a hard metal object at them,
you can use
hoping that they survive versus shooting explosive devices at them, knowing that they'll die. So I understand.
I'm sure Sam Wilson was using rubber bullets and concussive grenade rockets.
No, you. What are the comments projectile?
It's just for the symbolism. Okay. Sorry, fam. I manifested the claim is unsubstantiated. Falcon was always just Cap's partner. It's public record in the comics. Falcon was recruited, but from issue 117 to 134, he literally was a solo hero. Yeah, sure. You're the only one who stands on that square, dude. Like, literally. The seal is an essentially motif.
What numbers did he say?
117, which was his premiere, through 134. He called him a solo hero in a book called Captain America, much bigger, and then the Falcon and Captain America's in every issue, and yet he's a solo. His comments just don't even make any sense. He's trying to argue with two lawyers and it doesn't make any sense. All right, this shield is a symbol that adds to him. John Walker wasn't bulletproof. Was bulletproof in comics?
He was upgraded by, I can't remember the guy's name, but
the Power Company.
The power broker.
Power broker and the guy with the black hood. What was his name?
Wrestling Federation that had super advanced people who had been injected with all kinds of different stuff, and I'm pretty sure that they were all bulletproof, if not close to.
It wasn't bulletproof. It was described, I believe, as bullet resistant. I don't know.
It wouldn't be as bad as if you or I got shot.
Yes.
So
correct.
The fact that John Walker had the shield, it wasn't necessary to protect him, but more of a symbol of being Captain America. That's what the shield is. The red, white, and blue and the shield make you Captain America. So that's why that was mentioned.
Minus 616 Gwen Stacy. I don't know what that refers to. Just the optics to make him more palatable. Yes, that's what the red, white, and blue is to Falcon. Partner sidekick seems like semantics to me. The fact that he was a guest star in Cap's comic is what distinguishes it for me, DeWitt Lewis.
Yeah, don't.
That's not how. Okay, he's still going. That's not how comics work with the logic. T'Challa was a sidekick. It doesn't. T'Challa was a sidekick now.
Move on.
He's just talking nonsense now.
Right, so
that's the philosophy that the American has, and the antagonist. America isn't perfect. He believes in what it's supposed to be. Sam had that same struggle. Okay, I can see that. Yeah. Hot D-Zang, y'all got receipts. Yeah, well, you do. T'Challa wasn't always accompanying Cap on missions when he first made appearances. Do it, Lewis, but I respect your right to view him as not being a sidekick.
That's bullshit. T'Challa has never been a sidekick to anyone.
He's never been a sidekick. He's specifically written by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee to be his own man. So that makes sense.
I think what Steve's talking about is the incident that happened in Orleans a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, this guy answered your question. Shamsud is a veteran in New Orleans.
That's right.
Also,
yeah,
in Las Vegas, the Tesla explosion was a veteran.
Yep. So Shamsud, that's what I thought. Yep.
Oh, shout out to Steve Turner again, giving us much love with the super chats. Appreciate it, bro. Let me do this, which is this one. Steve Turner says, do you have any black characters in Marvel you would like to interact more? For me, I wish we got more Storm and Monica. We had some, but I want more. You know what? Along those lines, Steve, what I'd like to see is, if you're familiar with Stephanie Williams. Stephanie Williams wrote a book called Living Heroes. It was a webtoons book. And it basically took Marvel characters and put them in the scenario of the sitcom Living Single. So you had like Marvel heroes living in an apartment, just being regular folk. And it was just cool seeing these characters just being regular people problems, dating, where to go to eat for that night at the restaurant, doing laundry, and just interacting, but being within character. Honestly, it worked. And I would have loved to see like a regular series where that had occurred, where you just have black folk being black folk culturally, as superheroes doing regular everyday things.
So
I found that entertaining.
So to piggyback off of that question, which is going to go into what we're going to discuss later on, and we do need to move on in a moment.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I would like to see is a young black female team, and that goes to the Exceptional X-Men with the young girl who goes by the name of Bronze. Her actual name is
Trisha Marshall.
Trista Marshall. Add her together with Moon Girl, with Riri Williams, and Blade's daughter. That would kind of be a very cool limited issue, 5 to 6 issues, where you have Black girl magic coming together to solve whatever the issue may be. That would be something I'd be interested in reading.
For real, I agree with you. I concur on that one.
Yeah.
Marvel is a product, so they want sales, but Black writers are bringing real life situations into the comic world, i.e., a cookout. Exactly. Thank you. I see no problem with it. It feels great to be represented. I agree with it. It's far from pandering. This is actually inclusion. I also agree with you. We had an Avengers and X-Men fun moment. Why shouldn't Black be able to have moments too? Also agree with you. The X-Men have baseball games all the time, and no one says anything.
All the time.
Well, she was also hiding a whole dino.
Moon Girl.
Autumn, which would be kind of hard to bring at the cookout that he would end up recognizing. Autumn Sugar for real.
Hold on 1 second. If anybody knows where Isaiah Bradley is from, where he's based in, please put it in the comments because I have absolutely no idea.
White fanboys basically hate to see too many Black people in a single panel. Man, if you go on the internet and see the outcry from white fan base on those couple panels of the cookout, it's crazy the comments these guys are making. How triggered they get seeing Black people just being themselves and enjoying each other's company. It scares people.
That's why they didn't vote for the colored gal.
Black people are fine seeing white people everywhere. White fanboys are used to being centered. Exactly. That's one of the reasons why I thought that scene was important to see. Throw much shade when they are not. I have a feeling Gambit would be that melanin deficient guest of the cookout. Gambit's Creole. He's a Cajun. So, well, I don't know if he's Creole, but he's definitely Cajun. So he might fit into the cookout somewhat. The issue y'all talking about came out this week, or you talking about an old book?
I don't know what that's in reference to.
We're talking about the Sam Wilson Captain America issue #1, which came out 2 days ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Damon Watson, I also noticed Black comic YouTubers tend to focus more on the love of story and comics and Black characters, whereas white YouTubers will ignore all things not white and sometimes focus on negativity. It is what it is. That's why we exist, dude. That's why you're here. Damon Watson, spot on. Damon Watson, yep. Everyone's co-signing. Black and white YouTubers exist in 2 different universes with 2 different sensibilities.
So just understand, as Black people in America, we live in 2 different universes. The things that are important to us, that we see, that we focus on, your regular, average, everyday white person isn't necessarily going to focus on that. You know, I'm not going to say they live with blinders on, but they're focused on things that are centered around them, and anything that doesn't center them is an aberration. So, like I Manifesto said, it's a microcosm of life in this country.
Certainly a multi-group. I have to limit space. So I buy physical issues based on art, and I have an entire wall of framed covers of Storm and Jean Grey. Okay.
Let me have them, Steven.
Ravenel, who are other dope comic YouTubers you guys follow? I Do Comics Explained. He's cool. He's been on the show. Dope dude. Very detailed. Dope Spill, Comics Icon, and Blurred Without Fear. Blurred Without Fear, also another one we follow. He's been on our channel. I watch him regularly.
So Comics Explained, I really enjoy. I like that dude's voice for some reason. It's weird.
He's got a dope voice. He does have a dope voice.
Yeah, he does. Like, I'll put him on and be doing other things and listen to him. I like his voice. Blurred Without Fear, I'm not a fan of. He says some shit on Twitters. He's kind of a punk as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, if that's like him, that's fine. I do like Comics Explained. I don't know Dope Spill. Don't know Comics Icon. If you want nerd type content when it comes to like shows, movies, etc., I highly recommend Screen Crush and Heavy Spoilers. Those 2 are also very good. Not a fan of New Rock Stars, but Screen Crush and Heavy Spoilers, I'm also.
You saw how your boy New Rockstars did a 180 on the whole recast T'Challa thing.
Correct. Eric Bob has a huge online following. More props to him. Not a fan at all. There's a guy with New Rockstars. He's now with Heavy Spoilers. Guy, I think he goes by MT. Just something about that dude. I don't know. I don't like listening to him at all. Whenever he's involved with anything, I just bypass him. But
shout out to Ernie. I actually like Bird Without Fear. He's my boy. I love that dude. Nice at Steven Turner. Steve Rogers didn't view him as a sidekick in the same way Batman looks at Robin is a full-fledged sidekick.
That may very well be true, but the fact remains is that Falcon was the sidekick.
He was indeed a sidekick.
Yep.
And Batman does view Nightwing as a quote-unquote equal now.
To a certain degree. Yeah. But he always does expect, Bruce Wayne expects Dick Grayson to show him deference.
When they're in Gotham. I must concur with other lords. Everybody concurs with us. No one believes in what Herschel's saying with Herschel. On the Teen Titan cartoon, his team stayed clowning him. I did not enjoy Tom Taylor's writing.
Well, you're wrong, Steven. You're just wrong, dude.
Is still in a Meridian Diadem. I don't know where the dude is at this point.
He is. Basically, he doesn't want to be where Storm is because
he doesn't want to be anywhere where Storm is. Falcon's original costume was whack.
The green one or the red and white one?
The green, both of them actually. And look, here's the thing. Back in the day, you know who told me this was actually Dennis Cowan, like 40 years ago, literally. Back in the day, black characters, particularly in the 70s, if you look at them, they all had a V. Oh, I'm wearing a V shirt, by the way. It's my Brother Voodoo shirt. They all had a V cutout in their costume.
Color underneath their costume.
It's to show their chest, to show the brown, to display the black.
Yep.
Luke Cage, Brother Voodoo, Falcon, Black Goliath, they all had to cut out to show that they're black consistently. So yeah, his costume is black. It made those cutouts make no sense. You're fighting, you're shooting. There's guys shooting bullets, and he's got a cutout. He's got no protective gear.
Right.
Captain America has this chainmail. Captain America has this chainmail costume to protect his body. Falcon's got a big old cutout. And it made no sense. It made no sense.
And then speaking, going on this whole vein, and then we need to move on to it. Actually, we need to take a commercial and then move on to our next thing. But that reminds me of the Blue Marvel comic, because Blue Marvel, when he first was created by Kevin Grievous, my frat brother, he had a full costume. But then during one of the fights, his costume got ripped, and you showed that he was black. And then President Kennedy, before he was domed, said, hey, we can't have this superpower colored boy doing things. We need you to go ahead and stand down. So, yes, back in the 70s and 80s, all of the black characters, with the exception of Black Panther, had costumes that showed that they were black.
Notice how white tubers spent entire episodes raving about the value of Amazing Spider-Man 300, 13,500. And totally ignore the value of Fantastic Four 52, 51,700.
Yep.
I manifested a red and white joint with the hair out at the top. I thought it was fire. They will center themselves at all times, whether in the stories or the economics of the industry. That's another reason spaces like this one are important. Thank you, Damon. I appreciate that. T-Mel, that original suit was just green and had a weird chest naked alter. That's we were just talking about that.
Listen, he looked like he was about to do a floor routine in the Olympics versus going out there and fighting crime. Yeah.
Gordon answers your question. Isaiah Bradley's from New York City.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Gordon.
Twice. Steve Turner. Oh, wow. I'm going to have to check this comic out by Stephanie. Sounds interesting. I love Slice of Life and Winston Comics. Yeah, I think if you go to Global Comics, the website or app, Global Comics, COMIX, you can get Living Heroes there. Regular folk aspect is what made me love The Watchmen. Yeah. One Black Marvel character that I'd bring back is Daniel Axum. He was the main character of the short-lived Fight Club iteration of the Thunderbolts. I don't remember that, and I had collected Thunderbolts. Uncanny X-Men 273 back in the early 90s had a moment where all the mutants had fun at the X-Mansion coming off of Extinction. I loved it. Black people
X-Men are notorious for having,
baseball game.
Sports events between the teams, whatever. There was something that happened in maybe the Avengers or something where the Avengers were going up against the X-Men and like bowling or softball or something. So if the white characters can do that, black folks can get together, eat some potato salad, play some spades and talk, and just enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
Even
absolutely.
though I doubt that Storm knows how to play spades. Does Storm know how to play spades? Let us know in the comments. While we're doing that, go ahead and take a commercial, Paul.
Hold on. We got like just a 10
we
more
can get them in a second. Go to the commercial real quick.
Do you have to use the bathroom? All right, let me go to a commercial. We're gonna go to commercials so he can drain the main vein.
This is Derek Harrison of Black Comic Lords, and I'm here with Greg Burnham. You might know him from Tuskegee Airs. He's got several other titles, and this is a new one that's coming out in November.
November 22nd, Little Rock Files. It was a story that we originally did in Noir is the New Black, which is an awesome anthology y'all need to get if you don't have it. But we did a 6-pager in there, and we ended up getting asked to do a full book. So the interiors, I'm holding this one. These are 2 of the covers. The interiors are being done by Quinn McGowan, who did this book. Who did this poster cover. And then Marcus Williams, my co-creator on Tuskegee Airs, he did the art for this cover. And we also put like our original 6 pages in the book, just so you can have everything that we've done so far. It's a 1980s noir detective story that takes place in Little Rock, Arkansas. We actually put some reference some real things that were going on back in the time as far as the drug trade and dirty governors that turned into presidents, but that's a different story. Check it out, November 22nd. It will be in comic shops. If your shop didn't order it originally, get in there and ask them to get you a copy. We're trying to do some really good stuff with this book, and we appreciate you.
Where's our black real estate in comics? What do I mean? Let's check out Black Panther. He is gone from the MCU for reasons. And what is happening in the comics? We can complain all day about how our champion is being treated, but we don't own that character. Look at Milestone character, curated by one of the greats, Dwayne McDuffie, my guy. But we don't really own or control any of his characters. DC does. So I'll ask again, where is our black real estate in comics? Meet Delta Dogs from Millennial Comics, created and controlled by us, where story sits in the forefront. Delta Dogs is more than just black characters being black for the sake of being black. This story is about 7 cousins that gets into an encounter with a mysterious glowing stranger that changes their lives forever. And with their unique abilities, this family may be the one thing that can save their hood that's being ruled over by a vicious super gang. With an ex-criminal as their leader and other superheroes that looks the other way when it comes to their environment, this will be an impossible mission to pull off. Grab these books in our hardcover Ultimate Edition bundle at millennialcomic.com so we can really have some skin in the game when it comes to the comic book industry. Keep doing y'all thing, Black Comic Lords. Peace.
All right, we are back. Mark has had his potty break. And get just some back into these comments. Keeping the comics, Snarky J, she's Cuban, fun as hell. Reggie Collects are ones that I follow. Damon Watson saying A5. I guess I'm not allowed to say that. You go ahead.
No, you're not. You are not. I know where you live. So
Yeah,
Kevin Gravy is one of the greatest comic book creators out there, is an alpha. So next book.
Hold on, let me finish going through the comments. Louisiana Kid,
okay.
Mark, thank you for introducing us to the series Jackal. One hell of a series.
So hold on, let's hold on. Go back to that comment. Let me say this, Louisiana. I did not like how the series ended. I'm not going to give any spoilers, even though it's been about 3 weeks at this point since it ended. For those who have not seen it, I was not expecting the ending that we got. I was expecting something different, but the Day of the Jackal, which is on, I don't know what streaming platform it is, but it's a very good series. It's about 8, maybe 10 episodes about an assassin and the woman who is part of MI6 tasked to capture him, played by the beautiful Lashana Lynch, aka Monica Rambeau's mother, aka 007 in the last James Bond movie. Lashana Lynch is fine, and she is the main character. She's one of the two main characters, along with Eddie Redmayne in that series. Very, very, very good series if you like espionage stuff. And it's marked with the C, Louisiana. So yeah.
In the 1970s, a lot of male superhero costumes had their chests bared. A lot of them also had shorts too. Yeah, particularly black ones. There's a similar moment when Iron Man armor being worn by Rhodey removed his gauntlet to reveal his skin, and all other superheroes were surprised.
So that, if I'm not mistaken, that was during the Secret Wars story. Yeah,
it was actually Reed Richards who he revealed it, and Rhodey made a comment. Are you surprised that there was a black man underneath this armor? And Reed Richards said, not really. I just knew that it was a man.
Man, right. I remember that. I'm pretty sure that was part of the Secret War storyline.
It was. The cutouts were always showing the taco meat.
What Marwan basically means is that black men who have had chest hair is always beaten up like taco meat. That's what
caused a bit of an uproar during the first Secret Wars. Yeah. Some of the X-Men started arguing with Avengers. Yes, during the baseball games. Dr. Kaori Knight is a cute sister. I love her eyes with a fun show. You can tell she read every book. Kaori Knight, she's very slept on. She doesn't have a lot of subscribers, but she does great content. Shout out to Kaori Knight. I follow her too. I think she's a great YouTuber. And Fantastic Four. T-Mel, if black heroes get together and slap some bones, the table needs to be an the first person to call up and destroying any other table. I love that, man. I love that. There's a book Rich talked about called Black Defender. I got mine from Amazon. It's really good. All right.
Rich, Mario, my birthday's in September. If you want to go ahead and slip me one, that's fine.
Damon's just really started following Starkey. All right, cool. What's the next book we're doing?
Blade.
What issue number?
This is Blade number 3. And for those who don't know, we mentioned it a moment ago that Marvel had the cross-issue storyline of Blood Hunt that was Blade-centric, even though it wasn't actually Blade. It was Varney inhabiting Blade's body, where they took over, they being vampires, took over planet Earth. They defeated Varney. Blade got his body back, got his essence back, but he's still reeling from what he went through. This is a good series. This is also from Brian Edward Hill, the same writer who is bringing us Ultimate Black Panther. I'm not going to go deep into this book because we've been on this thing for like 2 hours just talking about random stuff. Suffice to say that this is a very good book. The action in it, we don't need to get specifically, we do not need to address specifics of this title other than the fact that Blade has sequestered himself from the world because he was the face of the evil that was Varney during the Blood Hunt storyline. This chick whose name I cannot remember has searched him out to try to fight this other big bad who's a new evil based in this book. It is a very, very good story. I like the pacing. I love the art. I like the way Blade is portrayed. I like the way Brian Edward Hill has the voice of Blade. Cannot say enough good about this book. It was a red band book. It didn't need to be. A red band book from Marvel is one that has gratuitous violence. This book didn't need to have that. It did it with heads exploding, eyes popping out of the sockets. You didn't necessarily need to do all that to tell this story. I understand they did it, but it's not necessary. It doesn't detract. It doesn't add. It's just a thing. Um, love this book. I love Brian Edward Hill's writing. I love the story. I'm looking forward to issue number 4. I love the superhero pose that Blade has right here, and I do recommend that you add Blade to your pull list if you are a comic book collector.
What I love about Brian Edward Hill's writing of Blade is that he takes him from simply being the guy who's just super cool and just kills vampires, and he's expanding on the character. He's introduced elements of him being it. The fact that he's very long lived and has a lot of experience dealing with the occult. He's learned some new tricks as a result. He's not above using magic and occult, artifacts to do his thing. He's expanded his power set, have him embrace more of his vampiric nature. So now he can aspirate. He can turn into a bat. He can turn into a wolf.
And all that comes from the previous volume of Black Panther, which was 5 or 6 issues, also written by Brian Edward Hill.
Yeah.
All of that stuff, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Paul, but for those who don't know, Blade was about to face this big bad, and he knew he couldn't face it based on his current skill level. So he sought out his mortal enemy, Dracula, to teach him some new tricks of the trade, so to speak. And Dracula showed him certain things that upgraded Blade's abilities, which kind of allowed Barney to come in and take him over.
Yeah.
That aspect of that volume of Blade was very, very, very well done. I cannot say enough about that. So you have to read Blade, Blood Hunt, and this Blade in conjunction with each other to get a full appreciation of the story.
It is available online. You can't see the original series that Brian Edward Hill. That's available on Marvel Unlimited, and I think maybe the first issue or 2 of this current run is also available on Marvel Unlimited. Junior says picked up issues 1-3 today, and he says I'm also going to read that Blood Hunt. You got to read Blood Hunt. Blood Hunt is awesome. Mark and I both are not fans of crossover series because they're money grabs, but Blood Hunt was legitimately good.
Yeah. So Junior, read Blood Hunt, the 5-issue storyline, as well as the Black Panther 3-issue storyline. Very, very good.
That's all you need. That's literally all you need.
That's all you need. Yeah.
Thank you. Shout out to NGO to know 357. I couldn't remember the name of the series. Dr. Boca Abolje in Captain America: Sentinel of Truth. And this is where it stated he created Cap Shield. So I thought that was cool that an African actually created Cap Shield. All right. What's the next series he wanted to talk about was actually Power Fantasy? Was that on our list? All right, fine. Power Fantasy.
Power Fantasy number 5 from Image Comics. If you are not collecting this book, you are missing out.
You are.
It is written by Kieran Gillian. I think he's a Brit, right? Is he a Brit?
I don't know if Kieran Gillian's a Brit or not.
I think he's a Brit. Long story short, a group of individuals have evolved in this world to have powers. As we know in the Marvel Universe and the DC Universe, pretty much everybody has powers. Not literally, but a lot of people have powers. In this storyline, the Power Fantasy, only a handful of people have special abilities. One of the main characters is a brother, and he has psionic as well as, when you read a mind, not psychopathic, what do you call it?
Telepathy?
He has telepathic abilities as well as psionic abilities. This dude can be in Malaysia and think about you in Washington D.C. and want you dead and kill you. This storyline, I don't have the words now, as well as being 5 drinks into whiskey, to adequately explain how good this book is. Okay, just trust me when I tell you, the Power Fantasy is one of the best books out right now. That's the brother who I'm discussing. This dude is OG powerful. He's more powerful, quite frankly, than anybody in Marvel or DC.
Oh, he is a Brit. He says he is a Brit.
Yeah, that's what I thought. My comic book guy recommended this book to me, and he has been absolutely right. This book is so very good. If you're a comic book collector, this is a book that centers on a whole group of individuals, about 10 or 12 superpowered individuals, but the main guy is this brother right here, whose name I cannot recall off the top of my head. Very, very good book. Please pick up the Power Fantasy.
Yeah, definitely a surprise book of 2024. It's not talked about enough. It's really damn good. I mean, it's where writing, the artwork is good too.
Yes,
but the writing is like, it's just upper level, man. It's elite.
Yeah, it's really good.
These are the type of this is comic books at its best.
Mm-hmm.
I can just say it like that. It's comic books at its best.
Good.
It's getting read tonight.
It is very, very good.
You won't be disappointed. It's a great series. It's a great series.
For me at least, it has me waiting for the next issue to see, my God, what happened in this issue was good, but what's going to happen next? It cannot say enough good things about the Power Fantasy.
The idea is this. The premise is this. The concept of, does absolute power indeed corrupt absolutely?
Lord Accident.
Can you be a good person and have absolute power and not be corrupted? I think it's probably the best way to view it.
You gotta, like, there are certain moral conundrums that the black character who's on this page deals with that I don't want to address without spoiling it. But if
you consider yourself a moral person, and you want to do good in the world, you want to balance the scales of justice, and you have the absolute power to do so. This book basically points out that you would end up probably doing things that in a micro sense would be viewed as morally reprehensible, but from a macro sense, viewing the big picture of balancing the scales and establishing justice and peace doesn't seem that bad. It becomes a numbers game. And if you have that absolute godlike power, you end up losing perspective as to what is good and evil. Good and evil will become concepts to you.
Let me put it this way, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is killing 100 people in order to save 100 million people a better option versus not killing anybody?
Right.
That's the kind of issues that you're dealing with. Killing 100 people, if killing 100 specific people saves 100 million innocent lives.
That's exactly the concept. And killing 100 people, men, women, children, brutally, terribly, despicably, but you save 100 million people. Do you take those odds? That's the Power Fantasy. And what is a check? What is a check and balance on that type of power?
Yeah. Power Fantasy is one of the best reads for me of 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any
Let's
comments?
see. J Wilk says I have Power Fantasy and Rook Exodus at the top of 2024.
Listen,
Yeah.
I love Rook Exodus. So Rook Exodus is part of this whole storyline over in
Ghost, what is it called? Ghost something? The name of the company.
It involves Geiger. It also involves tell you, I have it right here. Give me one moment, please. I just read it earlier today. Redcoat. So there is a whole list of books that are part of the same universe. Redcoat, Geiger, Rook Exodus are all part of the same universe over in Image.
Ghost Machine.
Right, the Ghost of the Machine storyline. This book, Redcoat, is very, 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 very good. Rook Exodus was also very good. I am thoroughly enjoying that storyline. Yes. It's none of it is black centric. No black writers. No black characters. There is a black character who's coming in February. The Northerner, aka Johnny Appleseed. But yeah, it's very good. Hold on. Go back one.
Damon Watson says, you also me on Power. Am I pre-ordering now? Does it tend to have not an insane amount? It doesn't usually have more than 3 variants. I tend to just be Issa Rae on it and just pick all the ones with everybody black on the cover, like the one I'm showing you right now. T-Mel says, when the theater cheered on for the ships that Killmonger took being short, I literally said out loud in the theater, no. He was coming up to help the U.S. Power Fantasy is on the menu.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. What's the next book? You keep popping up books I wasn't expecting. So what's the next one you got? X-Force. Number, was that 6?
7.
All right.
So the reason why this book is on the list because it is written by a friend of the channel, Jeffrey Thorne. He has made an appearance here several times. There are several X titles going on right now, this being one. Which is interesting is at least 2 of them are being written by black writers. The other one we're going to discuss in a moment, Exceptional X-Men. But X-Force is written by Jeffrey Thorne, who Paul and I have said time and again, who has written the single greatest issue of Black Panther, other than something that came out recently. I can't remember what it was that we said, that I said was in conflict with that.
The Avengers 20 by one shot by Jed McKay.
Okay, right. But Jeffrey Thorne wrote The King in Black, Black Panther, which was a phenomenal one-shot issue. Jeffrey Thorne has been giving the X-Force title, where Forge is the leader of an X team going across the world, trying to stop certain incursions, for lack of a better term. One of the things that I found interesting about this book is that, and X titles across the board, is that there are a lot of LGBTQ characters who were not that back in the day. In this specific book, you have Rachel Summers in a relationship with Betsy Braddock, aka Psylocke. I didn't know that either one of those characters were gay, lesbian, however you want to say it. Obviously, I have no issues with it, but it was just something that took me aback because I wasn't expecting them. I come from the days of Excalibur. I have all of Volume 1 of Excalibur. Back in the 90s, none of that stuff was addressed because we're dealing with different times. In the 21st century here, being, out gay, whatever, no problems. So a lot of these historically straight characters have been exposed to be part of that community. One of the prime examples is Bobby Drake, who we'll discuss in the Exceptional X-Men book. But in X-Force, you have Betsy Braddock, aka Psylocke, in a relationship with Rachel Summers, the time-displaced daughter of Scott Summers and Rachel Jean Grey. This title is not my favorite X title. It's not bad. It's cool for me personally. I don't know how you feel about it. It's cool. It's okay.
What this title represents to me is this is a sci-fi title in the auspices of an X-Force title. Every time I read this issue and I see the science speak that Jeffrey Thorns puts, he's a very well thought out writer. It makes me think this man should be writing a sci-fi book, because his concept, whether it be this or what he did back when he did Green Lantern, I keep thinking what would be best for him is a high-end sci-fi book. Like, I want to see him write a sci-fi book because his level of writing seems to be on this X-Force book is like being held back by the parameters of being on this Marvel X title, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like there's more stuff that he could do if you literally let him go loose and run wild, let his imagination run wild, but he's kind of confined to the auspices of being in this X title. That's kind of what I keep thinking. He's got these high-minded concepts, but because we're dealing with an X title, he's kind of limited by being stuck in those parameters. Yeah. I think that's probably the most accurate way of how I feel about this book.
You know, I'm a huge fan of Jeffrey Thorne. Love his stuff, previous stuff, his Green Lantern stuff. I loved. We've talked about it in this space before. Paul and I have mentioned innumerable times King and Black. X-Force is cool. I'm not going to say it's great for me personally. It's cool. I'll just say that.
Yeah, Damon Watson, the same thing. Truly wants to dive into this. He's interviewed he's to dial down some of the sci-fi he wanted to do. It comes across. It comes across in his writing. There's so much more. I always feel like there's more he wants to say and do, but he has to dial it back because he's in the X-Force book. And that's what bothers me. It's like I want him to be able to run wild. I wish Marvel would give him his own book and say run wild to a completely original book, run wild and do whatever you want, or have him just the ultimate thing would be have him do his own original work. And just I would love to see him just have a sandbox that's huge and allows him to do whatever the hell he wants to do, because that would be a beautiful thing to see, if that makes sense. He wrote a Star Trek novel. I was unaware of that. I didn't know he wrote a Star Trek novel. Ask him about that. All right. So, what's our next?
Before we move on, any of the comments?
That was the last one. He wrote a Star Trek novel. Okay. Oh wait, there's a few other here. I think the fact that you didn't know that means they could have been back in the day. I don't know what that was referring to. Oh, I think it's referring to your LGBTQ comment.
Right, but in fairness, that wasn't presented back in the day. Back in the day, the only person who was obviously gay was North Star from Alpha Flight. He's the only one that was definitively, explicitly gay. When Bobby Drake came out as gay, that's quote unquote new. Kitty Pryde, Psylocke.
It's Bobby Drake. Bobby Drake was dating that. What was the Asian woman? I think she was a news reporter or something. He dated her.
Trish Tilby. No, that was no. That was Beast who was dating Trish Tilby.
Beast was Trish Tilby, but Bobby Drake had this Asian woman he was dating for a while.
Really?
Even in his own limited series, he was dating her.
Okay.
Let's see. It reminds me of the writing on first Marvel Universe Compendium A through Z, where the characters' powers are explained in such a detailed pseudoscientific way that was fascinating and helped suspend disbelief. Yes. Yeah. He needs to be writing a sci-fi book. I would love to see a Jeffrey Thorne sci-fi book. I think that would be freaking wild.
Yeah.
All right. What do you have?
Exceptional X-Men number 4 is the last one I have. Well,
Right.
I have something else I want to discuss, but Exceptional
Yeah.
X-Men number 4.
I want the Avengers book, but okay. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So basically, Exceptional X-Men is written by Dr. Eve Ewing. It focuses on Kitty Pryde, who has divorced herself from the machinations of the whole mutant community after the fall of House of X, the Krakoa situation, or whatever the case may be. Kitty Pryde went full ninja mode. If you recall, back in the late 80s, early 90s, there was, what was it, a 12-issue storyline where Kitty was with Logan, where she was taught basically to be a ninja. During the
She was not technically possessed by a ninja demon spirit. I think it was called Ogun or something to that effect. And so she retains his knowledge of being.
Okay. So during the Krakoa situation, if you do not have the House of X and the Powers of X, your collection is not complete. The House of X and Powers of X by Hickman, right?
Yeah,
Hickman.
Jonathan Hickman.
Some of the best X writing ever. And so I'm not going to go into all of that, but it led up to a situation where the mutants of planet Earth had their own nation of Krakoa. There was an organization that went by the name of Orcus that fought against the mutants. They did a whole bunch of bad stuff. And Kitty Pryde, in defense of self and others, basically murked a whole bunch of people. In my humble opinion, she was justified in doing what she did. But Kitty Pryde feels a sense of loss, feels a sense of guilt for what she did. So she has divorced herself from the whole mutant community of planet Earth. She's living her own life, doesn't want to be involved with anything, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to a young black girl by the name of
Trisha Marshall, aka
Trisha Marshall, who has a mutant ability to basically turn into metal, much like Colossus, except she goes by the name of Bronze because she looks like bronze. She's able to shoot bronze tendrils from her arm, blah, blah, blah. This book is good in that it deals with grief. It deals with post-traumatic stress to a certain degree. And it centers on a black character because one of the first issues involves this young black girl.
The first issue.
The very first issue. And as I mentioned a moment ago, it would be nice if at some point in the future we had a book, if it's a limited series or one shot or whatever, where you have all of these young black exceptional girls coinciding and connecting with each other. You have Blade's daughter, you have Bronze, you have Riri Williams, you have Moon Girl. That's 4 right there of under 20, actually under 18 black girls who are super people who you would think would have a lot in common. And I would love to see a relationship explored with them. I am really enjoying Exceptional X-Men. I'm enjoying Exceptional X-Men more so than I'm enjoying X-Force, with all due respect to Jeff Thorne, of course. But this is a good book. Iceman makes an appearance in this. I want to say that they're in Chicago because Kitty Pryde is from the Shy. Very, very good book. Highly recommend Exceptional X-Men.
You did a great summary. I mean, I don't have anything further to add. I mean, I made this comment earlier this week. The thing with Tom Brevoort's taking over the X titles editorial duties is that it's been well established. Each one of these X titles has a different vibe. Each one of these X titles has a different style and theme. It's not just, and you know, they're thematically different. Eve Ewing's run is not about the whiz bang pow, although it, you know, it has those elements. It has more to do with understanding, with character development and exploring who these characters are, more so than anything else. And as Mark said, the first character that you begin to explore, and the centralized character, was this character Bronze. What would a Gen Zer, or I don't even know, the Gen Alpha character who just discovered she's a mutant do in this post-Krakoa era? What does it mean to be a mutant in this post-Krakoa era? What better way to explore that than with someone who just became a mutant in the post-Krakoa era, who's very young, still has a degree of optimism in her viewpoint, and hasn't been jaded by the cynicism of what it means to be a mutant from the Genosha era, or the Krakoa era, or the Fall of Mutants era, who doesn't have all that emotional baggage of being a mutant. What does it mean to be a mutant for Generation Alpha? And that's what's cool about this character Bronze, is it gives you that lens to explore what does it mean to be a mutant in the current society of X-Men titles.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a different pace comic. If you're not into that, you're not going to dig the book. If you like character development, as I do, then you'll dig the book. That's what I have to say about it.
For me personally, I like Dr. Eve Ewing's run on Exceptional X-Men more than I liked her run on Black Panther, to be quite frank.
That's high praise on your part.
Yeah,
The comment here. Shout out to Steve Turner, Super Chat. Jean Grey helping characters come out. I think he's referencing specifically to Bobby Drake. She was the first one to point out to Bobby Drake, "Hey, you're gay. I can read your mind. I know that what you're thinking about," and helped him come out the closet. So I understand what he's talking about in that regard. But with the Super Chat, you get the Super Chat video, which I can't find because I'm doing 3 different things at once, but it's all good. Here we go.
Donation. It's a donation. I thought it was the trash. Don't be hitting on me.
Thank you.
All due respect, hold on. All due respect to Eddie Murphy and R.I.P. to James Earl Jones. Coming to America 2 was ass. That movie sucked.
Okay.
Coming to America.
Steve Turner says, "Have either of you read Psylocke 1 or 2? If not, highly recommend. It's honestly one of the best X-Solo debuts of this era. Quantum is so well written."
No, I have not.
I haven't read it. I heard it was a good issue, a good comic. I like Quantum better than I like Betsy Braddock. Back when Hickman was writing X-Men, I was collecting digital comics. Trying to follow that left me so confused. Returning to physical books and YouTube summaries helps me follow all these. So I get that. Even me, who's a longtime Mutant X-Men collector and reader, I had to cut down on those books because it was getting to be too much. They had 10 different mutant books, and they're all doing their own thing, and it was very confusing, and it just became overly much. I shut down. I stuck to the books that had Storm in it and left it at that, and I'm just now trying to get back into it.
So let me just say, Damon, House of X and Powers of X were each 5, maybe 10 issues each, and I'll tell you here in a moment. But you need to add those individual issues to your collection.
Damon asks, "Are you looking forward to the coming X-Men hunt?" Well, yes and no. Always great for a good story, but my fear is that it's another crossover, and with many of these crossovers, they tend to be more money grabs, and I'm not into that.
So Powers of X was 6 issues, so I'm assuming that House of X was 6 issues as well. Highly recommend both of those. They were spectacular.
Some of the best X writing in the last 20 years. Kitty Pryde and Dr. Eve Ewing, both Chi-Town oriented. Dr. Ewing actually works here in Chicago at University of Chicago. Yes, I'm aware. She is a Chi-Town woman.
I manifesto you're not missing anything because Coming to America 2 sucked.
Never watched it. Never watched it. All right. So, next book.
I have one. Well, that was pretty much it because we did alphabetically. But this was something that I picked up when I was back home over the holidays. I sent you a text message about this. Freddy the Fix. If you can try to Google that. This
Freddy
is.
the Fix. I have the same book.
This is an Image comic book that is a one-shot that is magazine size that focuses on a black character by the name of Freddy, who is a Hollywood fixer in a world where the supernatural is common. So Freddy, lives in a world where vampires and monsters from the Black Lagoon are normal, everyday occurrences, as well as what do you call those people? Werewolves and things of that nature. This book was the only reason why I purchased this book because this book came out a couple of weeks ago. I was back home in Oklahoma, was in a comic book store, and I'm perusing the shelves, and I saw a black guy. I saw this guy. That's Freddy. I picked it up having no clue about what it was about. This was a damn good read.
It really was.
Ennis from the same guy who brought us The Boys and I believe The Wanted World. Listen, guys, it's a one issue, one shot. If you can find it, highly, highly, highly recommend this book. Very, very good. It's kind of like a whodunit. I'm not going to give any spoilers because I want you to appreciate it the way that I did, coming into the book with no knowledge other than the fact that the main character was a black dude. Understand this black dude is a Brit in Hollywood where the supernatural is normal. Good book. Very, very, very good book. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I mean, you did a good summary. I have nothing else to add. I really enjoyed it. One shot. I could see this being a movie or a short television series. The premise was dope. Think of a black John Constantine, basically.
So the way I saw it described was a Liv Schreiber. Who did he play?
He played Sabretooth.
No, I'm aware, but there was a character he played on like Showtime. Okay. Let me look it up. Donovan was Ray Donovan. He was a Ray Donovan-esque character. Yes, that's it. Ray Donovan. Yep. Damon said it. A black Ray Donovan. Listen, guys, Ray Donovan was a character on Showtime or Stars, whatever the case may be. If you've seen that, that's who this character is. It was a whodunit up until the very last portion. I cannot say enough good things. I understand that Paul said his read of the week was the Miles Morales issue number 28. This may very well be mine. It was a very, very, very good.
No, that's literally why I have the book next to me. This was up there. This is up there. This is one of the best books. Definitely the best indie book I read this week.
Well, in fairness, I don't consider it Image indie anymore. I understand Paul and I have a disagreement with that, but this is an Image book. To me, this is not indie. It's mainstream. It is very, very good.
I thoroughly enjoyed that book.
Yep.
All right. I had a couple honorable mentions before I get into my last book I want to talk about. Let's go to it. The first one being Avengers 22. So, this Avengers team is historic from just the perspective of the fact it's got 3 Black Avengers on the same team: Sam Wilson, Cap, Falcon, Storm, and Black Panther. Black Panther is on
Side quest.
very good. I was going to say sabbatical, but side quest it sounds better. He's in a side quest in the Meridian Diadem, the alternate dimension prison world, where he's decided he's going to be a gang leader and take over the world to save them. That's in essence what's happened, but the way Jed McKay explains it makes it a lot cooler than what I just said. Read it 20 for the full story. But he's all world.
Hold on. I've never seen Storm this thick before, ever.
Yeah.
She is thick as hell.
The artist on this Avengers series is Fareed Karami. Where do we know that name? That's the same artist that was on that Black Panther Blood Hunt series that Mark and I have been talking about with Sherilyn Eaton. It's the same artist. Fantastic artist. I love this guy. He was also an artist on Avengers 20, which was that one shot that Jed McKay did with Black Panther in the Meridian Diadem. Excellent artist. This particular cover that we have that I have on the screen here, this is a Sanford Green cover. There's other covers on this issue. This one's by Todd Nuck, Iron Man.
Okay, so hold on. Let me stop. Go back to the Sanford Green. Okay, so I've mentioned previously in this space that I was never a fan of particular creators or creatives. I was all about the specific characters. Whenever I would get a comic book in the 80s or 90s, I didn't care who wrote it. I didn't care who illustrated it. I went straight into the story. I have gotten better over the past 3 to 5 years. Sanford Green is one of the creators behind the series Bitter Root. I had the opportunity to meet him during Dragon Con 2024 when he was here in town. Cool brother. I want to say he was Eisner nominated for his series Bitter Root. Dude is that dude. Yeah.
You constantly interrupt me, but that's fine.
No, not constantly. But I did interrupt you in reference to Thirst on Storm. Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have this cover, and I need to consider getting it. Yes,
you do.
But Sanford Green, I say all that to say Sanford Green is that dude. If you are familiar with that name, he comes from Bitter Root. I want to say he was on Power Man and Iron Fist back in the 2000s. I didn't collect their version, but Bitter Root, absolutely.
This is a pretty cool Michael Walsh cover. I like the Misty Knight image. It's got kind of a 70s feel to it. But I'm not a Cap Falcon fan, so I like this Sanford Green cover is it for me. I need to get this. I think this is the one I ordered. But in mentioning some of the cool things, long story short, how can I summarize this? This is actually a throwback issue to a previous storyline in Avengers No Surrender, which was like Avengers 675 or somewhere around there. The game master is in a battle or a challenge with a guy named the Challenger. They're basically playing chess with the Earth. They take over the Earth, using the Earth as a chessboard, using humans as pieces. Basically took most of the heroes of the world and put them in limbo or what have you. I forgot what they did with them. There's a few Avengers left over and various superhero type characters left over to challenge them. Sam Wilson's one of the guys on the Avengers team. I think Wanda was on that team. Maybe the Vision as well. A bunch of the champions were on that team. And to defeat and so long story short, there's a character named Meridian or Merdin, and he's kind of a Kang-like character in that series. He's back in this series. And the Avengers go off-world to fight the big bad, and it turns out it's this Meridian guy who was in this Avengers No Surrender storyline. I'm not really giving it justice, but that's in essence what the story's about. It's a bit filler up until you get to the next issue, I think.
Okay.
Next issue I wanted to do and talk about was hold on. Oh, this series. This is now Mark and I have always been on record talking about how much we enjoy the cartoon. We talk about the best superhero cartoons of all time. Give me your top three, Mark.
The best superhero cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably have to say, especially because of recency bias, Invincible would be top three. The Justice League and Justice League, Ultimate Justice League would be up there as well. Are we talking about series or movies?
Series.
So Invincible, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited. Honestly.
Exactly. That's the exact answer I thought that you'd get. And that has to do with what I'm talking about here, which is Justice League Unlimited, which I can't find, which is weird.
And let me say this: The Creature Commandos is out now.
Hold on.
I've watched 4 of the
Don't jump steps.
Go ahead,
You get us
go ahead.
track. Justice League Unlimited. The late great Dwayne McDuffie was the writer of this series, of this television show, Justice League Unlimited. The concept was cool. One of the things we talked about was the fact that that DC Comics oftentimes gets stuck in using legacy characters. Like you have your main Justice League characters, you have the Trinity, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and then you've got the main Justice League members like Green Lantern, Green Arrow, maybe. The standard character, Aquaman, those characters that they're always going to be sidekicks or legacy versions of, right? This is the DC formula for the most part. And for me personally, it makes for kind of boring writing because DC has a plethora of characters on their roster that they can explore. And the concept that Dwayne McDuffie came on with this cartoon series, Justice League Unlimited, was to expand the Justice League roster to include everybody, all these superheroes that existed. And so you'd have a rotating staff of characters in each episode based on the needs of that particular situation. And so they put that in a comic book form and it works. It's what I've been complaining about forever. It's like you have all these characters in DC's history. Why not use them? Put them in a book where people can say, hey, I've never seen that character before. And they look back and they Google it and it's like, oh, that character dates back to 1967. And I just never heard about him before because he hasn't been used or she hasn't been used. That's the concept of Justice League Unlimited. Expanding the Justice League, which had been placed on a shelf and in hiatus, the Titans had taken over as the main superhero book. They brought the Justice League back and said, we're going to make it bigger and better. Now everybody's a Justice League member. Everyone has a card. We're at the Watchtower, and based on the situation, we're going to put together a team and put them out there. That team is always going to have Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman. One of those team members is going to be in the team, but you'll have this rotating roster of other superheroes, and it works. So shout out Dwayne McDuffie for coming up with the concept, and they put it in this comic book, and it works. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Some of the best writing I've seen. You'll see, and it gives an opportunity for some of the black characters that we complain that we don't get to see to be in the book. Black Lightning is in this particular issue. Mr. Terrific also shows up in this issue as well. So that's what I wanted to talk about.
Black Lightning has a series. I don't know if it's a limited or ongoing.
It's a limited series and it's fantastic.
Right. So I would encourage you guys, if you are comic book collectors, to add Black Lightning to your pull list.
Here's Black Lightning here. If you see this other character right here, his name is Dr. Occult. I've never heard of this guy before, but he's been around for a very long time. Think of him as a cross between John Constantine and Dick Tracy. He's kind of like an occult Dick Tracy, basically. Dr. Occult. Never heard of him. But because of Justice League Unlimited, you get to hear about this guy. You have the scene with Mr. Terrific interacting with Star-Lord.
Read the book yet. I haven't.
Say that again?
So I bought the book. I have not read it yet. So I'm not doing any spoilers. I do have it because I do like the Justice League. So
yeah. Mr. Terrific has his hairstyle that people are deriding the actor for the Superman trailer for having.
So let me just say this. I'm glad that James Gunn is bringing Michael Holt to live action. The Mr. Terrific that was in the Arrowverse was just a travesty. He was not the real Mr. Terrific. I think that the actor that James Gunn has playing him is miscast. He's way, way, way too old to be this character. He needed to cast somebody in their mid to late 30s. The actor's name, who I cannot recall, he played... I don't remember the actor's name. I could see his face clear as day, but he's in his 50s. He should not have been cast in this role. Personally, I don't think.
Yeah, there's a hell of a lot of different actors that could have done the role, honestly.
Yeah, concur.
All right. Let's see some of these comments here.
Yep.
Going back, there's some people been busy. Damon Watson said, I'm going to get that Sanford Green cover for sure.
Yep, I am too.
You wanted Eisner for Bitter Root.
Makes sense.
To pick up, you still haven't picked up his Stump series. That was kind of a slept-on series. How do you guys think about the turnout for Captain America 4 will be? I'm hoping people will show up, but the trolls have been hating on it, and Black Panther crowd from 2018 seems oblivious or apathetic. True on all.
Let me address. There are people out there who are so myopic that because T'Challa has not been recast, they're not going to support anything Marvel. They're right, their choice. But what you need to understand is that if you do not support the latest Captain America movie, what you are telling Marvel is that I do not want to see this black guy as that character if you're not buying tickets for him opening weekend. In essence, that's what you're saying. You may have an overall scheme of what it is that you think that you're trying to do, but from a microcosm, you're saying, I'm not supporting this black character. So I would encourage anybody who's thinking about doing that to reconsider. So yes, I personally am looking forward to seeing the next Captain America movie.
Freddy the Fixer, intriguing. I'll check it out.
It was good.
Regarding Captain 4, definitely peeping it. Red Hulk plus Black Cap equals green from my pockets. Okay. Damon Watson, I'm hoping Cap 4 will do well. Rave, our folks really won't come out hard for it until it becomes trendy.
Correct.
Me too. I hope it does well so that we can get more black character-led stories from the MCU. We know what I'd love to see? I would love to see, who I haven't seen in the trailer, Elijah Bradley.
Well, well, it depends on what trailer you watch, because he kind of goes against the president, who is played by Harrison Ford. So he
not Isaiah Bradley, Elijah, the grandson, who was in the cartoon, the television series.
Yep.
We have not seen him in the trailers for this movie, although they have clearly established the characters for a Young Avengers movie or television series, whatever they choose to do.
Yep.
We have not seen Elijah Bradley since that Falcon and Winter Soldier series. Which is
why I said earlier in this conversation that it would have been nice to have had an Elijah Bradley series that had Isaiah Bradley in it. So it played into the Young Avengers. Yes.
Yeah. DC anime movies are top tier. Marvel movies are greater than DC Flux.
So Paul and I have had this conversation over the past 10, 15 years. The DC animated universe rivals the Marvel cinematic universe because the DC animated movies have been absolutely spectacular. Spectacular.
I'll go see the Cap twice in the first weekend. Flash. Then what's I don't know how Black Panther and Wakanda got marketed, but Cap 4 needs that love. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the benefit of being all black everything they lay black audience needs. I don't even know if all black everything is necessarily going to get people to come out in this modern era at this point.
Yeah.
I mean that specifically for the comic book and sci-fi movies. Ravenel says, Damon, I agree. Black Panther 2018 was definitely trendy, and Sam Wilson doesn't seem to have that type of buzz. I'm definitely going
to understand that we're dealing with different issues. When it came to Black Panther in 2018, it was a black centric because you're dealing with an African nation. Here, when it comes to Sam Wilson, you're dealing with a black face of white imperialism. So the two don't compare.
So this beggars my question to you. If they had not given the mantle of Captain America, and this was a Falcon movie, and they had marketed it as such,
it wouldn't do well at all. It would make $35. Nobody would come.
And that's a damn shame.
Yeah.
Which I think is the
it is what it is.
It is what it is. You know, our alleged 12% of America will make it number one. That false math makes folks think our numbers won't make a difference, but we know better. We'll find out. We'll see opening week. We'll see if black folks decide to show up for the black superhero who's draped in the red, white, and blue.
I'm going to go see it opening week. I know that.
We'll see. That dude looks like Indiana Jones.
Hopefully he's Jones. I don't know who he's talking about. Yeah.
Oh, he's talking about Dr. Occult. Yes, he does.
Oh. Okay.
He had that 80s box fade. I'm talking about Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
I had that same fade in 1997.
Yeah.
They had that in the first half looking fade. I think the turnout will be pretty good for Captain America 4. The last trailer does a good sell job. The last trailer was pretty good.
And what's crazy is Giancarlo Esposito was in it. So I hate the fact that he's going to be some random character. He's
playing Sidewinder, I believe. One of the
Moses Magnum, even though he's not my number one Moses Magnum. That's David Oyelowo, but some random character.
Unlike with white characters in stories and movies, if one black character fails, then all black characters are in danger.
That is correct.
Facts. That's why, as much as we might want to complain, as much as I might want to complain about Cap Falcon, I need Cap Falcon to succeed so that Marvel won't view that and say, well, black superheroes just not worth our time.
Which is why those out there who may want to boycott the MCU as a whole, because of the fact that T'Challa has not been recast or whatever rationale they may have, it is important for this specific movie to be supported because it is a black-centric character. And, how do you look at it like that?
Understand, we're living in an era now where everything's anti-woke, anti-DEI. We've elected a guy who is sort of the representative of that.
Like they're not.
If these properties don't do well, there's not going to be a lot of incentive to do more of them.
Correct.
In the era that we're living in right now, hang on the next 4 years. Don't, as much as you complain about, well, I don't want to support that, I'm going to boycott that. Cool. They just won't make any more. Do your little boycott. They just won't make any more.
But understand the effect that it has in a macro sense. So,
yeah, that's exactly my point. Exactly. Louisiana Kid, could you all tell me more about The Crew? I didn't even know that series existed.
The very limited series.
You have it there? For those who watch us on Sunday nights, he's pulling a Richard right now, OG Rich, where his back turns to you and he starts to pull out comic book goodness.
I can find it. If I Go ahead. Keep talking.
All right. Martin Jackson, given the cry of white nerds, it may make Marvel Disney believe that they say and people don't want to see black lead films. This is exactly the point. Hype style. Number 1, Spider-Man is Amazing Friends. Number 2, Justice League Unlimited. Yeah. Batman the Animated Series. Those are good choices.
Yeah.
Damon, that's what I fear. I fear that if Captain America 4 doesn't do well, then Disney will listen to the online trolls and pivot away from black characters. Exactly.
Yeah.
Steven Turner, in terms of representation on screen, it felt Halle Berry as Ariel got to mean a lot for little girls in the way Black Panther 2018 did for many men. I've seen videos of little girls, little black girls specifically, seeing Ariel and the effect it had. Even my own daughter, really, it had an effect seeing someone that looked like her be a character that they really enjoyed, which is Ariel. Take that for what you will. Damon Watson, we have to find a way to sell a black character to black women. When they're on board and then black men, we have the makings of a trend. They had that opportunity with Photon, and they never. No, not that one. That's not the original crew.
Then I don't have the
crew. The original crew came out in the 90s.
Okay, so this crew was written by Coates, and this is the one I have. I don't have the original.
Yeah. I'll see if I can pull it up for you. A lot of white content creators are doing their best to talk it down. We need to support our images wholeheartedly.
Concur.
Yeah, there's a contingent of people that want this movie to fail. That will do everything possible to make this movie fail. They definitely do not want to see Anthony Mackie wearing red, white, and blue. I mean, just facts.
So,
well, they told us Lovecraft and the Watchmen shows had bad ratings, which was false. They started telling too much truth about Tulsa and Black Wall Street.
So let me just interject here. I'm from Tulsa. I grew up less than 5 miles from Black Wall Street. I was never taught about Black Wall Street. I went through school, kindergarten through 12th grade in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Never, ever, ever learned about Black Wall Street there. Within the past 7 to 8 years is when I first learned about it as a full-grown adult. It was not taught in history at all back home. For those who don't know, Black Wall Street during American apartheid was a segment or a sector of Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I'm from, where black folks had their own insular community. They had everything: banks, theaters, dry cleaners, any business that you could think of. There was a young man who was accused, of course, of doing something illegal or illicit to a white girl. The community leaders stood up on his behalf. White folks didn't take kindly to that. So they basically destroyed Black Wall Street. There is a book called The Burning by Tim Madigan. Timmaddigam. It's called The Burning. I don't know if Paul can pull it up real quick, but it discusses what happened during Black Wall Street. In popular culture, that incident in American history was detailed in Bitterroot, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was discussed briefly in Lovecraft Country, and it was discussed in The Watchmen, which was filmed here, but was actually based in Oklahoma. Specifically when it comes to Lovecraft Country, in the later 2 episodes, they sort of went back in time. I don't remember how they did it, but they went back in time and they ended up around 1920 when the incident happened at the graduation or homecoming of Booker T. Washington High School. That was my high school that I graduated from. So when that appeared on screen, I felt a sense of pride and a sense of despair because this was actual history that involved my own institution or whatever the case may be. But that being said, if you're interested in Black Wall Street, I highly suggest that you read Bitterroot, which doesn't focus on Black Wall Street, but it mentions it. The Watchmen series, not the movie, but the series focuses
television series.
Sorry?
Television series, not comic book series.
Correct. The television series of The Watchmen focuses on on Tulsa, even though it was filmed here in Atlanta, where I currently am, and Lovecraft Country, as I said, the last 2-3 episodes specifically dealt with Tulsa. So yeah.
All right, let me get back to these comments here. Great show, thank you. Misty Knight, Luke Cage, T'Challa, etc. They had a whole mini series for that. All right, so that again is referencing the second.
The one that I just pulled up. Yeah.
The original Crew series came out in 2003. This is the original Crew.
Yeah, I don't have that.
This was written by Christopher Priest. And the characters were James Rhodes, Josiah S., Casper Rhodes, and a guy by the name of Junta, who was he was the one token white guy on the team.
Now, here's what's crazy. You can probably find these in the dollar bins now.
You literally can.
Yeah.
But there's Casper Cole.
But first you'll have to unlock your device.
The White Tiger.
Yeah. So now I have to find this for my own edification.
So that's the series. Here's with Josiah X.
Yeah. And I remember seeing this, but I never picked it up.
So if you want to go deeper down, because Josiah X comes out in the next issue of Sam Wilson, Captain America, issue number 2. If you want to see his origin and his story, go ahead and pick up this original Crew issue. You can literally pick this up in dollar bins. You shouldn't be paying more than cover price for this book. All right. Where was I? Mark, that was the Crew book I was thinking about too. It's a different one. Yeah, steps. Optics are super important. Seeing Obama black kids, the hope of being limitless. The images are very important, particularly for the youth. I'm definitely at the theater for the new Captain America. Gordon Mahan says agreed. Gordon Mahan makes a good point. Captain America Brave New World comes out on Valentine's Day. Take the ladies. Make it a date night.
I would take all my girls the same day.
I have one last book for us to talk about before we leave because we've been on here for over 3 hours. Thank you all for sticking with us. That book is, with this new post-Krakoa era at Marvel, there's been a lot of comments about. First of all, the Krakoa era was hella melanated. You had a lot of black mutants, Even black mutants you didn't know were black mutants because they're colored blue or green. But they had a lot of black mutants in the Krakoa era. Storm was at the forefront of that. Some of the best Storm, feats were created during the Krakoa era. Bishop got made captain of his own, captain of Krakoa security, had his own limited series in the era. Great time. Post-Krakoa era, black people are hard to find. They're like one token Negro per team. It's not like how it was in the Krakoa era. Chief among the casualties is one of my favorite characters, which is Bishop. He is incognito in post-Krakoa era. But he did show up this past week in Time Slot, which is a series or one shot done with Cable. Now, these are the 2 time-traveling mutants, the 2 main ones. I mean, Rachel Summers technically is one as well. Cable and Bishop have history. Long story short, I'm going to get into it because it has to do with an era I didn't like, storyline I didn't like. Bishop had his daughter Hope, which when the mutants got depowered, became the hope of repowering the mutants. Bishop viewed her as the prophecy being fulfilled from his childhood of being the mutant who would ultimately bring about the destruction of mutant kind in the world. So Bishop went from being a super cop, law-abiding, straight-by-the-lace book type guy to becoming a murderous killer who traveled through time trying to kill Cable and his daughter Hope. It was completely uncharacteristic for the character. I absolutely hate that storyline. Marvel barely acknowledges that storyline even exists now. They had to do a lot of retcons to it. This one embraces that concept, talks about it a little bit. Says, "Yeah, you were kind of trying to kill me, but you were kind of weak at it." It was a terrible storyline. But suffice it to say, this particular storyline is kind of cool. Marvel has done a one shot for the last few years called Timeless, which is like a glimpse of what's going to happen over the next year in Marvel Comics. This is the same book, but it's called Time Slide rather than Timeless. So why is that important? It's important because what Marvel does is they give you glimpses of what's going to happen in the future. And they do it literally on the splash page right here. Let me show you. So here's the page, and here's the splash page where they show you little glimpse images of possible futures in the Marvel universe. And if you squint and you look at here, you see this Spider-Man costume and this new armored costume. You see someone who kind of looks like Moon Knight, but he's got a cap on, so that's kind of weird. Doctor Doom with his Sorcerer Supreme, Cloak of Agamotto on there. Ironheart over here. You see a version of Sabretooth, but if you look at the collar, this is the Sabretooth version from the Exiles. This is actually a good version of Sabretooth. Deadpool, a version of Hulk here with a crown, all types of weird stuff. You see Luke Cage, the timeless version of Luke Cage from last year, who was also the Iron Fist. So he's Luke Cage and he's Iron Fist at the same time. He also looks like Larry Stromer, which is kind of weird. But anyway, it was a cool one-shot story. I like Cable. I like Bishop. They're traveling through time, trying to fight the big bad, who in this particular instance is, I don't want to give a spoiler. They're trying to fight the big bad who travels through time and has high stakes. And they're able to do a complete story in a one shot that was actually interesting, action packed, and did character development at the same time. So very well done. I enjoyed that particular issue. I recommended that one shot.
So what other comments do we have before we leave?
That's it. That's all I have. We've been here for over 3 hours.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let me finish up with these comments here. Damon Watson says, "I'm from South Alabama. It's amazing how much history is withheld from you. My mama taught me Black history, but Morehouse taught me the rest. It was still a shock and hurtful."
Yep.
Okay, if I have Damon Watson, "I love HBCUs, especially my dear old Morehouse, for breaking the spell of a whitewashed American history. You need a whole college experience to break through the whitewashing and sanitization."
Yeah. So hold on. In reference to that, there's a book by Michael Harriot called, and I think I've mentioned it here before, called Black AF: The Unwhitewashed History of America. Paul, if you can, if it's not too much trouble, if you can Google that real quick and pull it up on the screen. I highly, highly, highly recommend folks that you purchase this book, that you read this book. I'm about halfway through. I need to go back and start from the beginning and reread it again. There is so much that has been, for lack of a better term, hidden from us as Americans, as Black Americans, in reference to our history and the contributions that our ancestors have made to this country, the things that we've had to deal with. This is the book right here. It is on Amazon. It is, what is that? Let's see. $16?
$16.25 for a hardcover.
I have that book in hardcover. I highly, highly recommend it. So I'm over on the Twitters. Michael Harriot used to pop up in my timeline all the time. I don't use the word brilliant often in earnest. Michael Harriot is a brilliant person, because there would be an issue that would deal with, say, pipe fitting or whatever. And then Michael Harriot would come out with a 20-thread discussion of how Black folks were denied opportunities in pipe fitting. I'm just throwing some shit out there. But this dude is absolutely brilliant. This book is phenomenal. Highly, highly recommend this book by Michael Harriot. Please get this book. It is very, very good. Very good. Yeah. Have you picked this up yourself, Paul, or have you read it?
I've never heard this book before. You told us talking about.
I've mentioned it previously in this space. Highly recommend that you personally, Paul, get this book and that you read. It is a very, very good book. I'm about halfway through. I don't remember half of what I read, so I have to go back and start over again, which I will be doing. Very, very, very good book. Very good book.
All right, cool.
What other comments do we have?
Gordon says, yes, I bought the entire original Crew series in a dollar bin last year.
Yep. I need to find it.
My man Randy Watson, Sexual Chocolate. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Well, I see you guys. You're coming to MegaCon? Yo, Randy, hit me up, man. Let's hang out at MegaCon. I'm definitely gonna go. Assuming they let us in, because we have to do the credentials thing. So hopefully MegaCon will give the Black Comic Lords love, and I will see you there. Bishop War College book went hard. Sync is MIA too, man. Sync got a lot of love in the Krakoa era. He got made beyond Omega level status. And now he's gone. He's disappeared. There's no mention of him. He appeared a month or two ago in NYX, in which he challenged Prodigy to a fight or something. It was I miss Sync. What do y'all think of Super Luke Cage that Time Slide hinted to? Anything with Luke Cage, I'm happy to see. Timeless is basically Marvel previews told in narrative form, but I still want to see that OP Luke Cage be used way more in 2025. I think he's coming up in a series coming out in the next few months, so be on the lookout for that. Nice conclusion in that pick. Yes. Luke. Ooh, look at that. That's a Funko Pop I need to add to my collection. Is that a regular size Funko Pop or is that a big size one?
Yeah.
That's a regular size one?
It is.
Oh, your hands must be very small. All right. Look, Luke Cage with the powers of the Iron Fist, the Sentry, and the Hulk. Yeah. Got that book. Oh, he has the book. Black AF History by Michael Harriot is definitely a book I'm looking to dive into soon.
Yep, very good.
People's History of the United States is great too, Damon Watson says.
Okay.
I have it on Audible and in digital print. I'll probably Audible it.
Okay.
Ordering Black Panther right now. Look at you. What is this down?
Very good book. Very good book.
People's History was written by Howard Zinn. Also, Medical Apartheid and Cast was great. This is what I love about the space, man. We're sharing knowledge with each other. This is what it's all about.
Yep.
Just ordered it along with the Marvel Legend Sam Wilson for the movie. One of the things I love about this channel is the sharing. I just said that. Sharing of knowledge. Thank you. Yes. Zen used to teach at Spelman. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. That's everything. That is everything. Listen, y'all. Thank you very much for spending your Friday night with us. What is it? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. We're on the East Coast. If you haven't done so already, again, please like this video, share it over your social media. Sharing it helps us to get the algorithm going. We're trying to grow the channel. It helps us to keep doing what we're doing. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing. Just hit the little subscribe button. Oh, you're the shirt flexing. We're flexing shirts. I'm flexing my Brother Voodoo shirt, man. Brother Voodoo. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you will know when we do these shows in the future.
For all my Morehouse brothers out there who watched us, thank you very much for joining us, my brothers. I appreciate it. For my Alpha brothers out there, thank you, A5. Thank you, guys. It's Friday night. You guys could have been anywhere doing anything with anyone, but you're here with us. Thank you very much. As Paul said, hit the like and subscribe. Thank you very much for joining us.
I gotta hook up. I gotta hook up with Bulletproof Comics at MegaCon. Is all of Bulletproof gonna be at MegaCon? Like, Hank, everybody's gonna be there. Like, if you are, hit me up because I want to hang out with y'all. Another book that is great is White Fragility. Love that book. Get Everything by Dr. Clark. Please have another show next week. This is the highlight of my week.
Well, we need you. Rav, we need you to do better with your life. How about that?
Peace, y'all.
On
Where you get that shirt, Mark?
Dude, so I literally had this made at Arbor Place Mall out in Douglasville. I found this picture on the Twitters, sent it to my guy out in he has a t-shirt kiosk, sent it to him. He made it for like $20. I planned on yeah.
Mark got it at the swap meet. That's what that means.
That's not what that means.
Night, y'all. Good night, folks.
Night.
Yes, we are. All right, hit me up, man. We're gonna link up. We're gonna link up.
All right.
Dr. Clark Anderson, haha. We are Gabriel Delato's premier dealer. All right. Yo, you know what that means? You gotta hook me up with some exclusives, man. Come talk to me. Book arrives tomorrow, Black AF History. All right. It's only
email. So T-mail. So over on the Twitters, I am ATLBLERD. If you guys want to hit me up, we can just have a book discussion. Please feel free to do so. I love knowledge. I love information. This is my bookcase right here. These are the books that I have right there about a variety of different topics right there. So yes, I read more. Chadwick Boseman, RIP. I read more than comic books. So yeah, if you want to have a discussion about that book, Black AF, let me know. Holla at me. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good evening.
Black Comic Lords.
Peace.
We got it.